everyone. It's Jeff from Mid-Atlantic Craps, along with my good friend Ed from Roll to Win Craps. Ed, how are you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing good. I was running late from work. I come flying into home plate on two wheels tonight just to get here.
Well, here it is. It's another Thursday night, and you and I are
Yeah,
back. We also have Gargoyle, but we have another special guest with us tonight. And without
we
further
do.
ado, how about we go ahead and bring them all on?
Bring them on.
All right.
Got El Toro with us.
Yes, we do. We've got the one and only El Toro and Gargoyle. Each one of you say hello to make sure the audio is working.
Hello, guys.
There's
Gals.
Gargoyle. Yep. El Toro, are you there?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Hey guys,
Okay.
how's everybody doing?
No problem. No problem.
I've got
Wow.
I've got double feedback.
You should not have double feedback. Are you watching it on YouTube by any chance at the same time?
Yeah,
Okay,
but it's not.
mute that side.
Mute the.
Yeah, mute the YouTube. You can continue to watch it. Just turn it all the way down. That's one of the things I forgot to tell you to do.
How about that?
Yep, it works. It's amazing. But anyway, guys, here we are. It's I can't believe it. It's December 14th. Look how
Yep.
many days till Christmas. I hope everybody's ready for Christmas. We did a Crapsmas special last Tuesday night with Heavy,
Yep.
Steve Holton on the show. Tonight we've got El Toro, and we've got the one and only, the tricks of the trade man himself, Gargoyle. And I know, Ed, you have to have some brown water.
I do. I've got some right here, and when that runs out, I got some at my feet.
Well, mine's purple tonight, but you know I don't drink that often. I
But when
would
you
drink
see
it
the
after
top
we
of my
play.
head, you know I'm going for more bourbon.
Let me see if I can't set this camera up a little bit here. Sorry, guys, it moved a minute ago. Well, look, Ed, here we are. It is another Thursday night with, you like to say Mutt and Jeff, but I like to say Jeff and Ed. And then we got Gargoyle. He likes to be called Butthead. And we've got the one and only, the infamous, that doesn't need any introductions. We got El Toro with us tonight. So, guys, how do you want to start the show?
Um, let's start it off real quick because this is kind of like Craftsman's Part 2. We've had a lot of things that have been totally misled out there in the YouTube world by a particular YouTube person who has fabricated a bunch of junk about what was said last week. And so I want to make it perfectly clear in about 10 minutes that we didn't fabricate a damn thing that he said, that he fabricated it all, and in his own twisted mind or lack of hearing or something, created a controversy so that he could try to take advantage of it. And with that, I'll turn it over to my partner in crime that night, Mr. Gargoyle.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. It is a shame, but we're going to kind of discuss it really quick, 5, maybe 10 minutes, and we're going to move on. And when I say move on, like we're going to move on, because as far as I'm concerned, I've moved on. Knowledge of the game is one of the best tools you can have when you walk into a casino or when you're trying to do anything. And when you have a platform like a YouTube channel and you're trying to educate and you're trying to inform, I believe that it's good to have the entire history of what you're trying to show, because if you lack knowledge of the history, then you only have half the information. So when you get challenged, you only know half the truth. So last week somebody brought up things other than the par shot, and Heavy was talking about that, and he mentioned 3 shots. We have the clip, but we didn't, cut anything out of it. You can go watch the whole thing if you want, but we just have the clip. Jeff, if you could go ahead and play it real quick.
Sure.
I won't address the non-axis tosses like the helicopter, the whirly bird, the whip shot, all those, because those are illegal shots you shouldn't be using anyway. Uh, but any shot where the dice tumble forward, the par type or the axis type shot, as I call it, is the only shot that's been proven mathematically and scientifically to work. And we've done that with Bone Tracker since about 2004 and have numbers stretching back all the way to there to back it up through thousands of players over the years, that have had SRRs well up above 7.
So we'll address the whole science and math maybe later in the segment or in a different segment. But I want to talk about the three names that Heavy addressed, which is the whip shot, the whirly bird, and that's his nickname for the helicopter shot. Because when I go through it, you'll know why. Because he and the person that came up with it don't get along. But let's address the whip shot at first. Jeff, you don't mind? Here's a link to an article about what the whip shot is, and it shows you how to hold it and the way the dice will kind of roll slide on the actual layout without rolling, and it's an illegal shot. And this article kind of talks about how you can cheat with it, and then when the casino found out about it, and you can't slide the dice, so they made the whip shot illegal. So the whip shot is an illegal shot. Now let's go to the helicopter shot. A lot of people don't know that the helicopter shot is actually a cricket term. Back in the 1980s, an Indian cricket player figured out that he could twist his wrist and do an upside down back shot and do a full circle and hit the ball. And somebody saw it from afar and he's like, man, that looks like a helicopter blade. So the helicopter shot was first invented in cricket by a cricket player. So that's when the term helicopter shot first was used. But when it comes to dice, the first person to call it helicopter shot is Frank Scobletti. Now, Frank Scobletti, back in the late 1990s, early 2000, he was trying to figure out how to beat the tub craps tables. And if you guys don't know what a tub is, it's half the size of a craps table, where you have to sit on the chair on each side. You have 3 or 4 and 3 or 4, and you have to toss on a 5.5, 6 foot table, and it has its own rules. And he saw these people flicking the dice, and this is very important, flicking the dice, because we're going to come back to that. And he figured out that if he could keep the dice on a certain axis, toss them high, and the top die beats the bottom die and keeps it from turning, he can eliminate 2 of the 7s. So he started shooting that shot, and because of the way the dice was going in the air, it wasn't low like a flick shot. He's like, hey, this looks like a helicopter shot. Well, when he went to the casinos, he tried to play it. The casinos said, we don't like the dice hitting each other, because now you're deforming our dice, number one. Number two, the bottom die,
There you
where's my
go.
camera?
It's
The bottom
backwards.
die, the top die hits it and slides, but the bottom die doesn't hit the back wall. That is an illegal shot. That is the shot that Heavy was referring to when he said that the helicopter shot was illegal. And I went after that and said nobody's throwing the helicopter shot, because the helicopter shot is illegal. You cannot throw the helicopter shot. Now, fast forward several years later to VDC. VDC saw the helicopter shot, and he said he saw a way that he could grip the dice with with 4 fingers or 3 fingers and throw it where the dice doesn't make contact and they hit the back wall. But he had a problem. His problem was when he took his hand and went high, the dice weren't parallel to the table. And he could not figure out how to resolve it. Several weeks later, and the way the story was told to me by somebody that knows what exactly, because that person was partnering with VDC at that time, he saw a helicopter take off. This is a helicopter. And the way the helicopter took off, it took off like this, and then it went like that, and then it zoomed. And as soon as he saw that, he figured out, wait a minute, I can go with my hand and twist my wrist down and release the dice. This is why it's called the helicopter toss, because when you hold your hand up, and I wanted to throw it, but my rails aren't here, so I'm sitting at an empty table with no rails. But when you come up and hold and twist your wrist down, where's my camera? Twist your wrist down, and you throw the dice with your wrist, not with your fingers, with your wrist. The dice will go in the air like this, like a helicopter shot. There will literally be one here and one here spinning, looking like a helicopter. That's why it was it was coined the helicopter by him, because not because of the blades, but because of it looked. And then when he found out that people thought that was Scobletti's, he called it the chopper. That is the chopper toss. And I want to make that perfectly clear. Words matter. Shots have name. You can't go around saying, I don't care what you call the shot as long as you do the mechanics. But then get mad because somebody said something about the shot that you called. You can't do that. Shots have names. And if you're going to have a platform and you're going to teach somebody how to throw something, you need to name it the right name. That is the chopper toss that VDC came up with. Now, remember I told you about the flick. People used to sit on the tub and flick the dice. I don't know if Sarge is watching. You know, what you're doing, Sarge, is perfectly legal. It is not the chopper. That is called, and I wish some old timers are here on the chat because they would remember. That is called a flea flicker. People used to sit at the tub back in the 90s and literally take the dice like this and flick it to the back wall because the back wall was so close. That is the shot that I showed Cage how to throw and that he is throwing right now. It's called a flea flicker, where the dice
That's correct.
separate in the air, not like this, like a helicopter going away from you, but it's sideways. If you toss it, the dice goes sideways because of the way you hold it. When you hold it like this, camera, like this, and then you flick it, the bottom die and the left die separate, unlike the chopper. So, you know, I'm trying not to be emotional and just giving everyone facts, but I can't help but feel frustrated because that person came over to my house, learned the shot on this fucking table that I have here, and took it and made it very, very beautiful. And it is a beautiful shot. He made it his own. But I told him it's not a chopper. And then when we said what was legal and illegal, went on a tirade, a diarrhea vomit, accusing us, both Ed and I, and that hurt me. That stabbed me in the back.
Well,
If you're going to keep doing, if you're going to stay on YouTube and misinform people, then guys, I'm done. Ed, take it.
I appreciate your explaining all that to the viewers. It'll be on here for posterity. And I think that I know El Toro chimed in saying something about that was correct when we were talking about the flea flicker.
That's right.
People have a tendency to claim stuff just because they've gained sudden popularity by certain things in this world, and it doesn't have to be a die shot. I'm not necessarily talking about a die shot, but I'm talking about all kinds of things. And you know, the attacks that I got on many of the, not only his channel but postings on other people's channels, it kind of pissed me off too. But I'm not going to, and I appreciate the emotion of Gargoyle and explaining it, because quite frankly, there's some friendships that have been severely damaged with that, and they may not be repaired. Now, let's get on with happier notes, happier times. Craftsmas, Craftsmas. We've got a special guest. I know Jeff always tells everybody to put a capital Q for questions. I know, but you'll get there. So I'm going to beat you to it.
Go ahead.
He'll always ask you to put a capital Q up there for questions, either for any of us, one of us, but we would like to be done talking about the intro and go on to better and brighter things.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll just chime in here at the end.
Sure.
Please do.
So I did watch that show. I watched it as after the fact. I wasn't able to watch it live, but I did watch that show. And for example, I have my own tosses as well, and I didn't take any offense actually at all to what anyone said there. It's kind of one of those things I look at and say, well, if the shoe fits, then wear it, but wear it well. It wasn't for me. I looked at it, and I don't take I don't name shots. I don't try to rename things to make it a sales tool. Matter of fact, I just play. I show people how to do things. I don't worry about taking credit for what a so-called strategy is or a particular toss is. But the show itself, I got to say, I didn't see anything. I didn't take anything wrong, take anything back. And Gargoyle, your passion is phenomenal. You have a passion for the game. Ed, you have a tremendous passion for this game, just like I do. I do understand your frustrations. So I just wanted to say, look, I personally didn't see anything wrong with what anyone said on that show. So
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you, El Toro.
Yeah, buddy.
El Toro has become a friend that he and I have talked several times, and I appreciate his friendship. Is coming on to the channel with us tonight and talking craps with folks.
Let's talk craps, baby.
Yeah, let's talk craps. As Ed said, put a capital Q in front of your question. I see a couple questions coming in. I want to remind you, we're dual streaming. Currently, we have 90 people watching between the two channels. We're on Mid-Atlantic Craps, and we're on Roll to Win Craps. Doesn't matter which one you chat in. Doesn't matter which one you go to. But if you go to it, give us a thumbs up. That's always appreciated. Capital Q for a question. And if you have a question for El Toro or Gargoyle or Ed, maybe even put their name in capital letters, and I'll be able to highlight that, and we'll come back to the questions. We got a great panel here tonight, guys. Let's have fun. You don't know how many months I've been waiting to get El Toro on a show. I wanted it. He's been on Craps Chat before, which, by the way, comes up Sunday night. But he's been on that show before. But I find him just phenomenal when it comes to talking about craps. With that said, I'm the moderator. Ed, Gargoyle.
But I was on the first. I was on your first show. I was on your first show, Jeff.
Yes, you were. Yes, sir. You were.
Hey, I see something. I'm going to go ahead and address something here. James Newberry.
Okay.
He's saying, with all the knowledge, what's the percentage you have over the house edge with DI?
Yeah.
That's an interesting question.
He actually premised that with a previous question a few minutes ago, but let's go ahead and take this one.
Yeah, as far as percentages go, I don't know the actual mathematical percentage of it, but I would have to say it's pretty high. I don't know if anyone's done the math behind it, but you know, I say it's a higher percentage winning than losing. Reduces the house edge.
Right.
It's based on
it is a tough
your
question
skill
because
and how you play. It's based on your skill
Well,
and how you.
it's yeah, but I think what James is a smart guy. I think he's wanting us to maybe he's wanting us to quantify it with an actual number if it's actually been studied and documented mathematically. Steve may have that in his bone tracker with all the rolls. I know on mine because I also use bone tracker to track rolls. You can see what the percentage will be, um, but I don't know what it is overall with everyone.
Yeah,
no,
I
overall, I mean, everybody's different. So I think
Yeah.
it's each person. It's kind of funny because, you know, Bone Tracker's got that chi formulation built into it. And anything
Mhm.
under a certain number, what is it? 0.5? You're eating
Yeah,
into the house.
I think. Yeah, but I think he also. I think in their equation, I've looked at it. I think that equation has a standard deviation built in too.
You can do that, yeah. And so I've had a chi of 0.0001 before, which would indicate a high house edge, but that's just on a certain 720 rolls. It's going to vary, and of course that's on your home court. When you get into a real casino, that's going to change things too. So you look at win-loss statements. I do mine every year, and I even showed one of them to Jeff there earlier in the year. I was like, look at this. I need to get my wife off this. It showed my win-loss even after all the losses of my wife's slot play, and I was still pretty darn positive at one casino. And I'm like, doing things like that made me go, well, I don't need to be playing at that casino or that casino. I need to be playing at the one where I'm winning the most money at. So I don't know if that's a house edge calculation, but that's an ed calculation.
Yeah,
Right.
it's hard to quantify. It's hard to quantify it because you can't really take those. You can't take the
But
computers to the casino.
no, you can't, and you can't take your home table either. So it's a problem.
Right. Exactly.
The funny thing is, El Toro, I was tooling around on YouTube the other day, and I saw this old guy, supposedly a Vegas dealer, and he was doing a quantification of house edge versus, well, if you could take a percentage of sevens, I forget what it was, 1 7 out per whatever, however many rolls. He was trying to reduce the house edge mathematically, and so he did a lot in not Wizard of Oz or whatever it is, and then Wind Craps. That's it, Wind Craps. And then he did some on hand. But the funny thing was, and I got a kick out of watching it, was when he picked the dice up, he said, "I'm going to throw these El Toro style."
Wow.
He really did, and I meant to copy that. I meant to copy that and send it to you. But yeah, he was going to toss them El Toro style, and then he made the mistake of saying, "But I'm only doing it 2 feet from the wall," and kind of lost my interest. 2 feet from the wall is like you can't do that.
Right.
That's funny.
Right. Well, we do have a couple questions here, and right off the bat, let's get rid of this one from Ed's channel from right when we got the show started before we actually got into anything. Real quick, can you tell us, Gargoyle, where your name came from? I think we got that asked once before. I don't know that we got it answered, and then we'll go on to the couple questions I have.
Yeah, when I first got on the internet, it had nothing to do with craps. Just got on the internet to get my email and stuff like that. The Gargoyle was OYLE was already taken by other stuff, of course, and I was going back and forth one day with a friend of mine, and he's like, yeah, Gargoyle, and he put it down in GOIL and autocorrected and corrected. I don't know if autocorrect was even a thing back there, and I'm like, I like that. So I started using it. I used it. The first time I ever used it was on when I signed up on Heavy's forum, and I just ran with it. I wish I could have coined, Gargoyle. I have a fascination with gargoyles. I don't know what it is. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So don't hate me for it. But
No judge. Judge free zone.
yeah, but that's where it came. It was a mistake by a friend of mine that I liked, and I just ran with it.
Okay. All right. Let's go to a question. I'm gonna back up on this side here. Give me 1 second, guys. Trying to moderate and do everything at the same time. Let's go here. El Toro, Dusted One wants to know what's the most money you've ever left on the felt.
Oh shit.
that's about the standard answer.
You can't answer that question. His wife might be watching.
Yeah, I know,
We
right?
all
She's
have to
gonna watch
answer that
this.
question the time before.
She's gonna go back and watch this. $100.
Good answer. Good answer for her. Oh my.
Yeah, add a few more zeros to it.
I'm sure. The discussions you and I have taken, I don't even dream of playing at the scale that you have. You forgot more about the game than I'll ever know. I say that all the time. I don't claim to be an expert by no means. So we'll
What I
move on.
say is this, right? Playing at this level is definitely not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not. I think if I was watching.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, if I was at this table just watching him play, my butt would probably pucker. But anyway, it is what it is. There's your quote of the night, Ed. Go ahead. What were you getting ready to say?
You got a puckered butt?
Not at the moment.
Oh, okay. I was like, do we need to give you a break or something there? I thought you was puckered up.
No.
The interesting thing about leaving money on the table now depends on how you play and what your thought process is. Are you trying to recover from a previous session, or are you trying to go ahead and cut the throat while the hand's hot? I mean, everybody does it different. So, but what I have found, and I've kind of been going through the routine of checking what I'm leaving on the table versus what I'm taking off here at home, and I play basically the same way everywhere, is I usually have taken off the table about whatever is still on the table. It tends to be kind of a close to 50-50. It's not exactly 50-50, but it's pretty darn amazing, that I might take 1,000 in profit, but still have 1,000 out there on a couple, three numbers total, or all the numbers total. So, I don't know, it kind of works out that way for me, and I don't know if anybody else has ever tried to think of it that way or not. But, and again, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, that's a good answer actually, because the amount of money that you do leave on the table is relative to what you're bringing up, right? It's a good thing and a bad thing, because if you to make money, you got to put some money out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't play scared.
Yep. They say about scared money.
Scared money makes no money, baby.
That's it. All right, this is a question we get all the time, but since we have El Toro on the show here, I know Gargoyle's feelings and I know Ed's feelings about it, but this one here, let me get that off the screen. Oops, sorry guys. What are your feelings about playing the ATS bet?
Mrs. El Toro wants to know.
Oh, you want to see that? I can put that back up. There you go, Mrs. El Toro.
No, take that back off. Take that
off. What's your thoughts on the ATS bet?
Who, me?
Yes. Yep. We'll start.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So I think this may be for everybody who's really an advantage player. That's a fantastic bet. I mean, think about it. You got an all-day bet, basically an all-day bet that hangs out until you hit it, and it's got a great set of odds on it, right? 30, 35 to 1. 150, 150, what is it, 157 to 1 or something?
Yeah.
So,
it's 34. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and it's a great bet to play for someone who is a skilled player, someone who has an advantage, and you can get it. Even if you get one side, it's worth it. Think about that, right? You're putting up if you're playing at the minimum level of a 5-5-5, you get back 30 nickels. Okay, not bad. Now, for someone like Ed, Gargoil, myself, probably even you, it takes you 4 rounds to hit it. So you're giving up 12 nickels. Ain't bad.
Nope. I would agree. Anybody else chime in on that
Now
ATS? But I know we've had the talk all before, but keep going, El Toro.
a lot of people don't like it because they just rely on just pure luck to hit it, or they just play it. They play it because they can't do it, and they're just hoping. That's that hope plan. I hope somebody hits it. If not, that'll bleed you dry. You got to have a whole separate bankroll for that.
Yeah. When I play it, I tend to go heavier on the sides than I do the middle. Of course, I realize the middle's the big payout, but you're more likely to hit one side or the other than you are the whole shebang. So that's kind of why I do that.
Yeah.
I'll go 10-5-10 or something like that. Just because I can, 300 is better than 150, but 150 is not as good as 1500. So I understand that too. Or 750 is not as good as 1500 if I'd have gone 10-10-10. But you're more likely to hit it. Now, the other thing I think is important, again, from a DI perspective, you're trying to hit it, and you're trying to hit it generally, or at least I am, as quick as I can, if I can hit it. Now, I'm not going to give up on 5s, 9s, or 8s, whatever numbers are really pounding. But, you got to look at it sometimes and go, well, if I can hit that 3 and that 10, I can pick up a lot of money quick. And it's easy, for me, I'd rather hit it in 17 or 18 shots than I would 30 because I don't get that many 30 rollers, right? I mean, it's harder to have a 30 roller than it is a 12 to 18 rollers, which are still long rolls. But you're going to need a few rolls to do it. But again, it's only 10 numbers. 10 numbers ought to be easy to hit, right?
It's just like walking the dog, buddy.
Yeah, it's just 10 numbers.
All right. Gargoyle, any comments on the ATS? I know we had this conversation a show or two ago.
Yeah. No, I love it. I have a separate bankroll for it, but I love playing it.
Heck yeah.
That's what somebody said in the chat. It's got to be a separate bet. Yeah.
Yeah, I was playing it. Matter of fact, I was playing it last night. Quarter, all the way across.
Wow.
Yeah. And I want to say something to your viewers. I know I'm like cockeyed to this side, but I actually expected my rails to be here, so I set up everything with the big screen up there so that I can, and it didn't show up at the last minute, and I was too lazy to move everything back to my desk, so I'm just gonna sit here and go like that. So, I know I'm off-centered and stuff, but I keep pretending that my rails are here, but they're not.
But we can brag on that 20-year-old layout you got your arm rested on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know. You can't see it with the camera, right?
Well, we only see
the
orange.
Hang on. Let me move this stupid chopper out of the way.
Looks
I break that thing to pieces.
Texas Tech felt.
Yeah.
No. Can you see it now?
Oh yeah, Red Rock.
That looks great.
It's
That's a
the old Red Rock.
20-year-old Red Rock.
Yeah, 2003.
I'd love to throw on that thing.
It's not microfiber. It's not felt. It's suede, literally. It's suede, and it's the way it's laid out with the colors, the yellow and stuff. It's copyrighted. It's got a copyright all the way in the back. Jeff has a picture of
Oh,
the copyright.
yeah, I
Um,
should have thought of that. Could have put it up.
yeah,
All right,
but yeah.
let's move on to another question while we have El Toro still with us. This comes from. Did we already do this one? Did we
I'll
do
be
this
with
question
you. I'll
already?
be with you till the end.
Okay, I hope so.
I will be.
Did we do? Yeah, here's another one from James Newberry. I would like to have comments on the relationship between the alligator sliding and the dice when they contact is made. Not sure I quite understand that
Alligator
question.
sliding, not sliding.
Let me put that back up there again.
Alligator
Alligator
sighting.
sighting
Siding,
and the
yes,
dice.
siding. Sorry. Yes, there we go.
I'm not uh, have comments on the
You also know what
relationship
you
with them.
think the gators or the pyramids do to the dice.
The dice, they jumble them up.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure, that's what it's designed for. That's why they want you to hit the back wall. They say, hey, because you got a guy who's sliding it, or sorry, not sliding the dice. You got a guy who's sending the dice down there, and when they hit, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how they're going to hit. You want to try to keep them from hitting up there, if at all possible. The majority of the people, though, when they toss those dice, is going to take a pretty good little bounce. It hits those pyramids, and they're designed to just scramble them a little bit. That's where the random comes in. So putting that out there, right? You got a lot of folks that say they're controlled dice shooters. Okay, that is it. Again, it's kind of what Gargoyle said earlier. Words have meanings, and you got to know what the hell you're talking about when you speak. You can control the dice to a point. After that, when they hit that back ball, it's random as random gets. Yeah,
What is your opinion on
exactly, Gargoyle.
what is your opinion on the 5 diamonds versus the 7 diamonds on the different various tables?
I don't care. My dice don't get that high.
Okay, well, that's a good point. That's a good answer.
That's a
I will
good
take
answer
that.
right there.
That is a good answer.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, let's put this question up here. Preferred landing zones. This comes from Blazer, he's a subscriber on both Ed's and my channel.
I like landing them in the rail.
Okay. I think we all have our preferred landing zone. Mine's just about where Ed's is, but sometimes you have to adjust. Ed, either you or Gargoyle got an opinion on landing zones and how important they are? Maybe that's more what we should talk about.
I would say it depends. People that tell you that they don't care about landing zone, it's all about muscle memory. These people don't have a clue what they're talking about. It depends.
Depends
If
on
you're playing
table
on
on
a
the
bounce,
table.
it depends on the table bounce, and it depends on where you are on the table. If you're stick left 1, 2, 3, then your landing zone will have to change because you're now tossing harder and further. And so if you're away from your landing zone on a bouncy table, you want to land you want to land them a little bit further than the wall and low. On a hard table, you want to land them closer to the wall so that they can get and bump into the rails. So depends on the bounce. Landing zone changes. If let's put it this way: if you walk up to the table and you're on stick left 1 and that's all you throw and all you do is just muscle memory, muscle memory, muscle memory, and then somebody comes in and puts a whole bunch of chips right where the dice goes, what are you going to do? You're going to argue with the guy to move his chips? You're going to keep hitting the chips, or you're going to change your landing zone? At the eye would recover. A non-DI or a DI by name or whatever will argue, hey, move those, I'm trying to land the dice there. Can't you see me landing the dice? The guy that just came and put his chips is a cooler. He knows where you're landing the dice, and that's why he put them there. Most of the times. Anyway, take it away, Ed.
Well, yeah, and I think launch angle and landing angle is also important with that landing zone. But I know guys that shoot from straight out, and they have a killer shot, and they're almost basically landing it on the E, on the come,
Yeah.
and getting it to roll in from there. So they have perfected that type of shot from that distance to get the dice to kind of land way out there, way away from the table, but just continue to tumble straight into the back end of the wall without hitting it high or anything like that. Now, most DIs, we want to hit it underneath the third row, or third row or less is optimum for me, and I think for most people. But if you can get him to land and then tumble and then just back into the wall, like Doza, who was on the show with me, that guy, every time he threw them, they just stopped right there at the bottom of the rubber. He was crazy good with that shot.
And also depends on what shot you're using.
Yep.
If you're trying to do an underhand shot, your landing zone is different than a par shot, than a helicopter shot, than a flea flicker, than a little Joe.
Correct.
And I can go on and on with these stupid names of shots. If you stack the dice this way, it's inline stacked dice shot. That's what it's called, regardless of what you want to call it. But depends on what throw you're doing. The landing zones may be different.
Well, we have a.
So I'll keep answering that one. There's one more. There is another answer to that. So I'm going to take the position that the majority of everybody watching this today is throwing a overhead par toss, right, with backspin on it.
Yep.
So if this general question is where should I throw my dice to get the best results, the answer there is it is a kind of a combination of everything. Normally, if you read all the books and everybody says, hey, you want to be 4 to 6 inches off the wall, that's great as a standard. But there's two things that you want to look at. What do you want your dice to do after impact? Do you want them to roll or do you want them to die? Whether it's a bouncy table or a hard surface table, you have the same trajectories. Let's say that the pass line is 8 inches off the back wall. You want to land them right past the pass line. On a bouncy table, you got two things. Either at the E, like what Ed said, and let them hop and roll, or on a bouncy table, you can push them all the way to about 2 to 3 inches if you're that good to the wall, because you're going to have a very low bounce and it's going to hit the very first set of pyramids, maybe the second one if it kicks up high. You'll still have a good roll there. On a hard surface table, the same thing. You got to throw it with a little bit more force if you're throwing it to the E to get them to roll to hit the back wall, because if not, they're going to die. Or you hit it standard, which is about that 6 inch from the wall, so they can just roll right in. That's how I look at that. Does that make sense or no?
Oh, it absolutely makes sense to me. We have a follow-up question. I want to keep this going. I'm going to go to Ed's channel now. This comes from Dan on Ed's channel, and then I know there's other questions above it. We're going to come back. I'm trying to keep them all together. It's more or less a very multi-point question here, but I think the very first part of it is that I'm a poor DI, better than the random. What do Ed, Gargoil, and El Toro consider a good DI? And we'll stop there. The rest of that, throwing over 10 times each session, 1 PSO per casino trip, I think that's what he's asking. And then he wanted to know what neighborhoods do good DIs live in, which is probably, somewhat of a sarcasm part of that joke. But what do you consider a good DI?
We should wait for that until after the announcement. What do you think, Ed?
I'll be able
Or you want to go ahead and make the announcement now?
No, go ahead and answer the question.
All right.
DI, okay, I'll answer it. DI is a way of life. And good DI is if you're living that way of life good. If you're living it poorly, then you're a poor DI. That's how I'm going to answer. I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay. I think he's... All right. Ed, what's your opinion?
Well, I mean, it is a way of life. You got to be committed to practice and everything you do, and then play like you practice. I'll throw that in there too. But it's hard to quantify. Put that actual question back up if you can, so I can maybe expand on it a little bit. How many times you PSO? I don't know if that's got anything to do with it, because
Happens.
everybody PSOs. Everybody
Yes, sir.
PSOs,
If you
and
say you, if you
it's
say you
not
don't, you're a
unusual
liar.
for everybody. It's not unusual for people to PSO more than once in a trip. You know, if I'm PSOing more than once in a session or more than twice in a session, I'm off the table or changing something. But you know, that's why I've always said you qualify every shooter, especially yourself, before you put money out there, and you only get one mulligan, and that's the come out roll. That's the only thing. That's the only roll you get to see how your shot's working on a brand new table you just walked up to for the first time. You get one mulligan. That's it. You get to find out how the
So,
bounce is real quick. You get to find out how close or how far back from that wall you need to land those things, in my opinion.
All right. El Toro, you made a comment while I was talking. Go ahead.
yep. So Dan, um, I too am a poor. I'm really bad at DI also. But what do I say? What do I say to you is this? In my opinion, in my opinion, I consider somebody who has good dice influence as someone who really has a good solid control over those dice, a good toss, a good pace, and doesn't uh, you're able to generate a lot more of the box numbers based on what your dice set is, and what you're trying to achieve. You're never going to be able to sharpshoot a hard six. So if you're setting up a hard way set, depending on what set you're using, right? Call it a 3-5-3-5 or whatever, and you're throwing it down there. If you're yielding good results out of it, either on axis, results one or two may be turned, I think you're doing okay. As long as you're not killing yourself, then you're doing yourself a good job, a good service.
All right. I like that answers. I like them all. Let's go on to the next question. Going backwards over here on Ed's channel. This comes from Juan. With every good toss comes some bad tosses as well. Do you guys still get frustrated? Did you ever get frustrated? Ed just answered that question. Gargoil, El Toro?
Yes, but you gotta have discipline. You don't show it. You you walk away from the table and you have a one-on-one chat with yourself in the mirror about what happened and why, and analyze the bad tosses to learn from it so that you don't keep having it, and see if there's anything you can change to have a good toss. But you never show your frustration at the table towards the dealers, towards the pit boss, towards anything, because it's no you're handling the dice and you're doing the betting. It's nobody's fault. Now, unless something happened at the table, then yeah, you kind of tend to say something that's out of control. But I always say, learn what you can control and what you have control of at the table, and everything else that you can't control or don't have control of, you just have to let go. Yes, I get frustrated when I have a bad toss. When I go 640 across and then $100 each on the ATS and I PSO. Nobody wants to do that. Yes, I get frustrated, but I don't let that stop me. As a DI, I look and I say, did the dice roll funky? Did I do this, or is something going on? Because I'm gonna get the dice again because nobody's on the table, and I need to do that again. So I have to make a quick judgment. Do I stay or do I go? Do I stay and recoup that loss and throw like I know how to throw? Or do I leave because something weird just happened? If it's me, if it's because of what I did, I can fix that. If it's because of something else, I have to figure out what that else is and figure out if I want to toss at that craps table or not. And I have to do that within seconds because the money gets taken off and the dice comes back to me if I want to roll. So frustrations, emotions get in the way of what you're trying to do. That's what differentiates a real DI from somebody that sets the dice and just throws and practices like half an hour every week and then goes to the casino. That's why DI is a way of life. That's what separates the dice influencers. I call it, it's not dice influencing, it's dice influencers, because it starts with here. So yes, I do get frustrated, but it's how you deal with that frustration and learn from it what makes you a good DI or a bad DI.
And anybody else? Because there's a follow-up question that came up, but
Well,
it wasn't premised, so I don't want to miss that one. Go ahead, El Toro.
what was the question? Put it up there again for me.
Oh, the frustrated question. I'm not sure what side that came from. That's not
It,
there.
it,
That was my
do
time.
you get frustrated? Do you get frustrated when you have bad tosses?
Thank you.
Oh, okay, got it. Uh, yeah, I think most people who put in a lot of time behind the dice, practicing as many hours as we do, yes, it gets very frustrating. But you never let them see you sweat.
Never,
Gargoyle hit the nail
never.
right on the head, and if you guys didn't catch it, we'll say it again. Control what you can control, and fuck the rest. It
There you
doesn't
have it.
matter. You control what you can control. Now, it happened to me actually. It happens to everybody, where you lose focus, and when you lose that focus, is usually when you'll find out that something went awry. You lose focus for that split second, and then off it goes. That's kind of how I see it. But yeah, frustrated. Sure, it's frustrating, but is it going to keep me off the tables? No, I just hang in there and figure it out very very quickly.
Here's kind of a follow-up question while we're still on this topic. The gentleman didn't put it in the form of a question, so I'm going to ask you guys again if you can put a capital Q. It does something to my software so I can pick the question up and it'll show it as a question. Or if you have a question for either one of the panelists, put ET capitalized, Gargoyle capitalized, or Ed roll to win, whatever. But this one follows up with, why do so many people who claim to be DIs place numbers across rather than concentrating on numbers they claim that they are able to throw?
Oh, great one. That's a great question. So,
That's an
I guess
absolutely fantastic question.
yeah. Does that mean I'm taking it
Go
if I'm
ahead.
in the big box?
Yep, you're in the big square. Go ahead. We'll take turns. Go ahead, El Toro. You're our guest.
So I think that's an awesome question. So most of the people who claim to be dice influencers, you are correct. You see them bet all the way across because there is something called luck. You, you're going to get a 4 or 10 if you're not setting for a 4 or 10. If you're setting and shooting for 5, 6, 8, and 9, the dice may pitch. They may roll. You're going to catch a 4 or 10. You're going to catch another number eventually because they hit that random alligator backing on the back. It's going to jumble them up. Although we do what we can do to influence them into the right outcome, when they hit the back wall, it does jumble them up a little bit. You kind of take the good with the bad there. Now, others that can land them tight to the back wall where they're not bouncing off that railing, those are the guys you're going to see that are betting on the numbers that we're trying to shoot. Does that make sense? If I can get those dice not to hit that, if I can get them not to bounce up, because that's what you guys asked earlier, do I care about 5 or 7? Mine never get that high in the first place. Mine go to the end.
All right. Ed, you want to take the next one?
Well, I thought the key word in the question was CLAIM, claim to be DI. So, I will bet sometimes 2 numbers. Sometimes I will bet my 3 most expected. I'm going to put quotes, air quotes, expected numbers, and see if I'm rolling the numbers I expect. if I'm betting the numbers that I think are my most dominant numbers. Now, every DI just about in the world is going to bet 6 and 8 because everybody else does. But you'll see me bet 6, 8, 9, or you'll see me bet 5, 6, 8, 9, or you'll see me just bet even numbers. It depends on the set I'm going to throw, what table I'm on, and what the surface is like. Because I'm going to choose a set and the betting strategy based on the table a little bit, and then use my influence, if I have any, to try to hit the numbers. But as El Toro so eloquently put it, sometimes you get lucky, or that back wall skews those dice enough that you're hitting off instead of on. Well, then you got to make an adjustment in your bets. But I'm one of those guys that almost never bets across myself. And a lot of people do, but I don't carry a big bankroll anyway. So I'd rather take 300 and try to turn it into 5 than 1,000 into 1,200. So,
Well, buddy, that's great that you just said that. So, in my head, thinking about this answer too was this, right? Why do you see them bet across? Because it's cheap. That's why. If you're playing $25 table, right? It's only $50 to catch you a 4 and a 10. Really? Are you going to go? I mean, is that really that bad of a deal? If you're playing on a $10 table, you're looking at $20. Why not
yeah,
go all the
that's
way
a
across?
difference.
Come on now.
But I like to play the 4s and 10s in pairs. If I set the point as 4, I'm going to bet the 10, or vice versa. If the 4 comes early and I decide to bet the 4, I'm going to bet the 10. I like to bet them in pairs. I don't necessarily bet the 5 and 9s in pairs. But that's just, we're getting off into another tangent, I guess. But
Sure.
that's kind of how I look at it.
Gargoil, you got an opinion?
He's an across better from the get go.
I know he is.
I play the
So am
short
I,
game.
actually.
I play the short game. I practice at home like crazy to at least hit 4 numbers, and then I don't care about anything else. And then when I go to the casino, that's how I play. I set the point, and I go across 640 across. I hit 4 points, regress down to 120, 135, depending on what the point is, and just shoot from the moon. I already made my money. I play the short game because most of the time you're not going to get long rolls. People that think they're going to walk into the casino and roll 15, 20, 30 rolls because they practiced and they are so-called DIs are just bullshit artists. There's no such thing as a precision shooter. There's no such thing as a DI that calls their shot. People need to get off the fucking wagon because I'm throwing my fucking filter off with these fucking comments. People need to wake the fuck up. Nobody ever said on any of these channels that I was on, or that at least I was a guest on, that we're robbing the casinos. Nobody goes in as a DI and calls their shots. What we're trying to do is we're trying to gain a small advantage on what we can do in order to kind of make whatever money we can. I said it before, and I'll go to my grave saying it. DI is not about going and robbing casinos. DI is about knowing how to minimize your losses.
Yep.
So
Good point.
yes,
Amen,
I go
brother.
640 across, and yes, after 4 or 5 hits, I regress.
Let's continue on this. It comes from the same gentleman. Shouldn't we make a distinction between a DI and a precision shooter? I haven't heard that term too. Very, very much maybe second or third time I've ever heard precision shooter.
We just
Talking
run
about
Gargoil.
the term, bro. Yeah, well, that's because so I'm a precision shooter. This is from somebody. This is from somebody who's got to be watching a bunch of these YouTube channels, and they're talking about people that are sharpshooting numbers. Give me a break. The majority of people cannot do that. The majority of people cannot sharpshoot a number. Got to say, unless you're playing at a table with that top 1%ers. There's no one really does that.
All right.
Few and far between.
What has he got? A
He's
filter.
got a filter.
Oh, his filter.
He's
That's a
putting his
filter.
filter up. He's got a filter going. He just threw his filter away. I'm just going to yield. I yield the floor to Gargoil. He took his filter away.
He has some props too, Ed. You got to give him props for his props.
I could give him. I mean, how long did it take him to go down to Ace Hardware and buy a filter to put up?
So I'm going to throw that question back. What's your definition of a precision shooter?
Well, we'll have to wait for him to reply. Or are you asking one of us?
They're probably,
We'll wait for the reply.
again,
I want to know, is that somebody that calls their shot? Is that Babe Ruth pointing and aiming?
I think that's what they're talking about. I think that's exactly what they're talking about. When you grab two dice and you say, I'm going to shoot a 6 and it's going to be a 4-2.
Show me a precision shooter and I'll show you a unicorn. There's no fucking thing. You point me to a precision shooter, I will mortgage this house, I will get all my money that I can get and put them on that craps table to play with. Just one number. Tell me what number you're going to roll and I'll put all the fucking money on that number. And I'll be done. I'll retire. Don't you think we all want to do this? Be precision shooters? Precision shooting, DI is not calling your number. DI is not going out there and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna roll a hard 8. Look, a hard 8. I'm a DI." You got fucking lucky. That's all you got. You ain't got no. Ed, take it away.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna put my filter on now.
There's his answer.
Let me put my filter on. Mid-Atlantic craps hat, by the way.
I don't have my Stetson.
I'm assuming again that a precision shooter is, I don't know what that is, but it's got to be somebody who would supposedly be able to call their shots, and that's not realistic. A good DI, a good capital G, capital double O, and a D, a good DI, and I know many, are able to increase the percentages of hitting certain numbers. But there's no guarantee that they will hit that number ever. You can change sets and do certain things that will increase your percentage of hitting a number, but it doesn't mean you're still going to hit it. All you're doing is increasing the odds, maybe in your favor a little bit, and that's based on practice and tons and tons and tons of practice. People do not understand how much.
That's influencing. That's dice influencing. Yeah. That's going into Bone Tracker like my good friend Nader does to hit the ATS. Goes in and finds out what his sets are doing and finds out what set he wants to do. And within 2 to 3 tries, he hits the number. He hits the 12 or 11. That's DI. That's not precision shooting.
Yeah. It's increasing your probability. And Nate's as good as anybody at it when he's practiced. You're right. Darth Nader's as good as anybody when he's practiced at it. Next question.
All right, next question. You kind of caught me off guard. I was doing something for Gargoil. I wanted to be able to show him this. I'm not sure how it's going to show up, but here you go, Gargoil. There's your unicorn.
There's the unicorn.
You caught me. Got hands in the cookie jar.
I'm saying Baby Shark here in a minute.
I had my hands in the cookie jar. I'm going to go back and get Mr. Yo, good friend of Ed's. We played with him down in Biloxi. This goes back almost an hour. How often do you go to the casino of choice and your felt has been changed? For me personally, it throws my toss off a bit. What do you all think?
A new felt will make a difference, in my opinion, but you got to adjust.
Yep.
I'm surprised sometimes how long some of those felts seem to last on casino tables. I mean, I wore mine out in a year, and I know that they get a lot more tosses on them than I do in a year. So I'm impressed how long they last. But again, I guess it's maybe they've got a little higher quality cloth. Maybe they got a different underlayment. But even those that sound hard, they seem to last long. So it's probably a higher quality material.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. I could talk all night about layouts. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that's his bailiwick.
if I forget about DI. If there's anything I know layouts. The casinos change them often and it's based on how fast they wear out, how much play they get on them with the dice, and whether there's special occasion. Sometimes they would take out a brand new layout because there's a special occasion happening, something at the casino, something like NRF in Vegas. They sometimes take out the old layout and put a rodeo layout on it for that. Regardless, change the layouts. Yes, they when the casinos change them, they change because if they stretch them, the more you stretch, the bouncier they get, and sometimes they will settle afterwards. It's always best to check when you walk in. Well, I'll leave that till the trick of the trade. So, but yes, they do change them, and this you got to figure out whether you want to. I actually will have to think twice if I want to shoot on that particular table or not because of the new layout.
All right. Any comments, El Toro, on new felt layout?
No, I think they both said exactly what's going on there. They're not doing it to be mean. They just wear out. They got to change them. So yeah, if you go to a table and they've had it for a month, if that, right, you're used to it. Then they change it out the next month. It's nice and pulled tight, slick, brand new. Not a, it's just different. You just got to learn to adapt.
I missed this question, so we're gonna move on. I missed this question from almost a half hour ago, and I apologize to my friend Mel. It goes along back to the DI question, and I think it's already been answered, but I want to make sure he gets it out there because several people made a comment about this was a good question. In DI, why is the emphasis to avoid the 7 when it has the most combinations? Why not embrace throwing the 7s against the place numbers? I think we probably covered it, but does anybody else want to make a comment to that?
Well, yeah, let's look at it mathematically, right? It does have the highest amount of combinations. How many times does it pay on the table?
That's a
At
damn
most,
good
right?
answer.
At most. How many times is that 7 going to pay at the table? Whether you're paying a don't pass or a DC, the average don't player is going to play don't pass with odds, and they're going to play maybe 2 or 3 DCs because they're afraid to get peeled off the top. At most. How many times can you roll those dice? Really a dice influencer, guys. How many 6s can you roll? How many 8s can you roll before you throw a 7? And how much will they pay out compared to what you got sitting on that DC or don't pass?
John
That's why
from
we do it.
programs can roll 7 6s in a row and lose money.
He's here now, Gargoyle. Better watch it. He's listening to you.
I love you, John.
Well, that's what happens. That's what happens when you don't regress. That's what happens when all you do is press.
I've never.
Not on the real table. Not on the real table. On his morning strategy.
We have a couple of regression questions coming up here, but real quick, I want to go back to my friend Arnell from Dice Grinders, a good friend of Ed's. And so a typical buy-in per session, I guess we'll just take this maybe 30 seconds each person.
5K when I'm playing in the mornings by myself. If it's fun money with group, I buy in for like $1,000.
All right. Ed?
I'm the low roller in the bunch. My typical buy-in will be from $600 to $800, unless it's crapless, and I'll go to $1,200.
All right. And El Toro, make sure your wife's not watching.
When I'm playing, just playing around 3 to 5. When I'm playing to make money, it's a lot more.
We'll leave it at that.
Good answer.
Good answer.
I do like that answer. I got to go back and find a question here. While I'm looking for the regression questions, because I'm trying to lead up to what Gargoyle wants to talk about, I'm trying to save some. Hopefully, I'll be able to get back to them all. Our Fred Lou from New Jersey wants to know: do you prefer a 14 or 60-foot tables when playing, and what is your preferred table surface? I don't know anybody likes playing on an aircraft carrier at 16 foot, but we'll see what the panel says.
16.
Oh yeah, they got
Who
them on
has-
the Northeast.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't been up there.
Is it Fremont a 16?
I think it is. I don't know. It's
It's gonna
long.
be
It sticks out in the middle of the
usually-
street out there some damn place.
I thought-
Yeah, you gotta have a TV camera to find your
I thought
dice.
that we had a 16 footer.
It's got to be. Those got to be crapless. Those got to be
Ah.
crapless tables that are 16 feet. I mean, good lord.
I don't know. He's
There's
asking-
not
or
there's
table-
not a number up there that is my favorite. 12 foot.
Oof.
12 foot's the
Well,
favorite.
yeah.
And the surface. Yeah. Also, second part of the question: your table surface.
Microfiber. I mean, I prefer microfiber because I'm used to it. I mean, there's a few felts out there still. You got to play felt different than you do microfiber.
Is he talking about
I
the
like
type or the
hard-
bounce?
I think both.
The
The,
easy-
the
I don't know.
surface.
I may have took it by the type of surface.
If I
Yeah.
if I find a hard surface table, my wife will divorce me, and you'll have to pry me off of it because
That's right.
I am making my retirement off of that table.
That's right. That's why you don't find them. That's why you don't find
That's why you
hard
don't
tables
find
like
them.
this.
That's why
Yeah,
you don't find.
you don't find hard surface tables, but we all prefer hard surface because you can make your dice land and stick.
Yep.
I know where a couple are.
All right. Let's move
Well,
on.
you-
And,
you tell us.
and Andy Tyndall, what's a good bankroll to take to a $25 table?
How much action are you going to have on the table, Alan, at one time?
Yep.
Question. Yeah. So if you say that, if he's going to play 110 inside, let's just hypothetically say he does that. What would you say would be the bankroll? 1100, 2200.
Probably 2,200.
2,200. You always put a certain percentage of your buy-in on the table.
Correct. 2,200 I think would be the least. If you're playing 110 inside, then yeah, 2,200 would be
Yes.
the lowest I'd buy in at.
Okay. Guys, I'm going back and forth between two channels, so give me a break on the. I'll get to the questions. I'm trying to group them all
How
together.
many we got total watching us right now, Jeff?
52 and 60. So yeah, 112.
Over 100.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you, viewers on both channels.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. We love you.
Thank you.
Let's see here. I've scrolled down to the end. I'm going to go ahead, since we're still talking about the DI stuff, I'm going to put Super Mario's question up here. And that is, do you guys consider yourselves DI, guest, and host? I do not consider myself a DI of Super Mario. As much as I practice what I'm doing, I have nowhere near the experience that these other three have. So I don't call myself a DI. I call myself a rhythm roller. But I try.
I don't use that term. I call myself an advantage player because it's a culmination of things. They all kind of put together. Now, I guess to answer it the way you want us to answer it, sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm a guest. I don't have a channel. I won't have a channel, even though people are trying to get me to have a channel. The only channel I have is channel 9, which is no for German.
All right, Ed, any comments?
Do I consider myself a DI? I damn sure practice enough to try to be. People do not comprehend. Now, I've played with a lot of the greats. I've played with a lot of great shooters that I've yet to even have interviews with and stuff like that. And I know tons of people that I give up stick left 1-2. And I'll go to the hook, get out of their way. If you're gonna try to be a DI, you got to practice a couple hours a day, minimum. My opinion, just my opinion. Maybe it's because I'm so bad. That's how much I have to practice. but we're still gonna have bad rolls. Still gonna have those bad rolls.
And PSOs.
We're still gonna throw those sevens. But the advantage player is, that's what we are. I mean, if you go back and watch some of the old, what was that? What was that? There was a series. I know it's on YouTube. Anyway, they were checking out these guys that were blackjack players, and the pit boss walked over to them and said, "We recognize you're an advantage player, but you're going to have to even out your bets, or you're going to have to leave." Because the advantage player is a term, and they don't mind you being an advantage player.
Correct.
But they do want you to do certain things regardless. Whether you play in blackjack, roulette, I don't know how you can be an advantage player roulette, but you could. I guess you can be. I know advantage players in slot machines, and that makes absolutely no sense to 90% of the people until I had a woman take me around and show me how she did it. But I have such a bad memory, I can't remember. But I saw her do it, and I saw her what she was doing, and she only did it on a select few machines, and she was running around. She would build a bankroll off of being an advantage slot player and then go play craps. And she was a noir card holder, and she lived in the casino. She lived at the casino.
All right.
Not a great lifestyle for me, but that's just what happened to her. That was her deal.
We got a lot of questions backed up here. I can't group them together anymore. So let's go on to this one asked over a half hour ago. Any idea what is the most you've made? I think he's talking about on another player on your roll. What you made another player on your roll.
No. I think that the question. Let me read it. No, what on your roll? What did somebody else? Yeah, the most made. Yeah.
Like you're rolling it, and I bet. I mean, I guess that's how I took the question. I think I might have read it wrong. Anybody want to take a stab?
I have no idea.
Is the question?
I don't watch that. That's a great question.
One of our rolls.
I don't watch their bank. I don't watch their bankrolls.
I had a man ask me to marry him once. Does that count?
I had a guy hump my leg.
You had a guy humping your leg and humping your leg. Yeah. I mean, hell, there's all kind of ways to get the job done.
All right. We'll keep it moving. Here's a question from Old School Craps. Since 60% of the rolls don't go past 4, what's the best way to get in and out before the law of probability and position yourself for that monster roll?
Regress.
Yes.
You can go ask. I swear to you.
Don't bet on everybody's table is the best way.
Yeah, but if you were to go and ask 1,000 pit bosses, 1,000 dealers, 1,000 boxmen, 1,000 everybody's, and ask them, if you took a look at all the successful players that you see coming in here, what do they typically do? And it's not going to be a strategy, guys. Get that stupid word out of your head. It ain't no freaking strategies.
Thank you.
They're going to ask you, what do they do? And what they're going to tell you is they regress their bets 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Here's the next question.
I'm the odd man out. I already know it.
Large.
It depends.
Large.
It depends.
Yeah, one at a time. Go ahead. Somebody start talking.
Go ahead, Toro.
I say large and regress. You can't regress on minimum.
Okay.
If you're at table minimum, you can't regress unless you're doing what I showed you guys a long time ago, which is just peel your sisters off. That's the only way you can regress off the table.
All right. Gargoil, you had a comment?
No, I was going to say it depends. If you're shooting, large and regress. But if you're betting on other players, of course you start from the minimum, and if it's the roll develops, you press.
All right. Ed, any comments? Because I'm going to put one up here that I think is just going to require probably 30 seconds from each one of you.
Well, I'm the odd man out. I don't ever start big. I never start out big. Even on myself. I mean, I start a heavier on myself, especially on numbers that, I expect to hit. Now, whether I hit them or not is a different thing. But I don't know anybody's ever seen me regress. I'll just be honest with you. And it's a fault of mine. I agree. It's a fault. I have regressed on a few numbers, but I'm not going to go out there very often and go 220 inside, one hit down to 110 or something just to rack $30. I just don't do it. I don't know. Maybe it's an ego thing. Maybe it's a thrill. Maybe it's a thrill of the hunt. I want to have a good roll. I think every seven's my fault, and I
But Ed,
want to try to eliminate. I try to
you,
stop doing it. So
but you don't, Ed, you don't bet on everybody the way you bet on yourself. You said that earlier, and I played with you enough to
that's
know
correct.
that you'll just do a 6-8 and maybe even a 6-7-8, but you'll do a 6 and an 8, and if a 4 or 10 hits, you'll slip the bet out.
Yeah, yeah. I don't bet big. I don't do like all these other people that I see a lot do, which is they bet some number across on everybody, and I don't do that. I don't do that at all. I mean,
Nope. You lose your shirt.
sometimes I'll bet a six and a hard six, and just see if I get lucky. And I'll collect the first six. The next hit, give me an eight. Now I got a free eight. I got a free six. I got a free eight. And don't, I mean, I'm not big on betting on a lot of different people. I kind of keep it small, or
All right.
6, 7, 8, like you said. I can do a lot of damage sometimes on a good roll with 6, 7, 8.
Anybody else before we move on? Because we've got a couple people asking about the announcement.
Rock and roll. Next one.
All right, let's go. Here, Brian, Hawaii Crap Shooters wants to know, for you dice influencers, can you tell if your double pitch came from one dice double pitching or two dice single pitching, or two dice single pitching? Oh my
Yep.
gosh, can't speak.
Yep. I can.
Absolutely.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
There's three. There's
Yep.
three.
Here's the reason you know it, and here's the reason why I think we all know it, is because we know what's on either side of our dice and on the faces. We know what's going to show up, and when you're watching your die, I focus on one die. I don't try to look
Yeah.
at both of them. I look at one die, and that's the one I'm keeping my eye on.
Yep.
That's
I
exactly
keep
right.
my-
And, people say they can't watch both die. Well, you don't have to watch both die.
Just
Watch
give it a
one die, and if the dealer and if the die you're watching is a 3, and the dealer says, center field 9, hey, guess what? The other one was a 6. It's not real complicated. So
Okay. Man, we have a lot of DI questions in here that some of them we've already been answered, and I'd hate to tell somebody to go back and watch the show, but I'm going to get back to some of them because we do have to watch the time. We do have an announcement to make, and we also have the tricks of the trade to come up here. I'm going to put this one up here by James Newberry. He just says, can any of the panel roll 6 place number 75% of the time? I'm a no.
I don't understand the question. Can any of the panel roll
Are
six?
you talking about
places?
you talking about 6? I think he's talking about 6 box numbers.
Yes. Yes.
Six
Actually,
box numbers?
So
Yeah.
70% of the time,
75%
in
of
a
the time.
row? On a
So
particular
3 out
row?
of 4.
Yeah,
3 out of 4. Yeah,
That's how you
all
would have to
day.
do it.
3 out of 4? Yeah, of course.
all day. 6 out of 8 all day.
3 out of 4 is one thing. 7.5 out of 10 comes a little bit
It's,
different. I
it's
guess.
something else. Yeah, I mean,
And
the higher you go, the probability goes down.
I keep this stack of white chips here that are dollar chips from casinos that I accidentally brought home, and I used to keep 12 stacked up here. You'll see them anytime I do a video. They're sitting here on the C&E, and I used to keep 12. My goal was to get 10 of them on box numbers, and only 2 of them. Get 12 tosses without a 7. 10 of them on box numbers, 2 of them on jump or horn numbers. And I used to consider, and I still think it's pretty dadgum good measurement. That's a damn fine roll. Used to call it the perfect roll. 12 numbers or 12 tosses, 10 box numbers is a really good roll. Now I have increased it. I've got 8. I keep dropping them, but I got 18 chips. So now my goal is higher. I want to go when I'm practicing, I'm trying to, because y'all all see me, I'm old fashioned. I'm throwing chips out on my numbers. I'm trying to get 15-3.
Okay.
That's my goal. That's what I practice to. Do I get it every time? No. That's how I keep track, and that's my goal. That's kind of the game I play with myself to keep from getting bored while I practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go on to this question. It's a good question from John. With regard to pitching, are you saying they pitch in the air or pitch after contact? On axis results are different than on axis physics, right? Can you dig? And the rest of that part is that's the rest of the part. Can you dig in on what all that means and how you describe it? Is what he meant.
So let me, if you guys don't mind, let me take that. They can both. They can either pitch in the air, so one can go faster than the other because of how they were tossed or how they left your fingers,
Released.
or they could go together, hit the table, and one die hit the back wall stronger than the other, and then double pitch. So it all depends. If one pitches in the air more than the other, that is called more random. And when it hits, it may save you from a double pitch simply because it double pitched in the air. But the question is, are they staying on access, which is what you want them to do? But yeah, I mean, I can tell. I don't spin the dice. I don't throw with a spin. This is a no spin zone here. Um, but I can see what my dice is doing in the air, and I can tell. I cringe when I see something I don't like with the dice in the air, and I hope for the best. Sometimes because of the way the dice release, most dice influencers and most um, people that practice shooting will tell you they know if it's going to be a bad shot because of how the dice felt when it left their hand. But you can
Yep,
also see it.
absolutely.
You can also see it. And then when the dice hit and then go into the back wall and then come back, the more rotations, the more random. It gets into the math and the physics of the par shot, and I don't want to do that right now. But John, I hope
Yeah,
I hope I answered your question.
I'm gonna
You could double pitch in the air and end up with a bad result because of the toss.
let me. I'd like to add to that. So,
Yes.
John, with regards to pitching, are we saying that they pitch in the air or pitch on the contact? Every dice, every type of toss, chopper, par, underhand, every single toss has the ability to pitch immediately after it lands. And the reason for that is because unless you get them to land flat on both faces, it's not going to go forward. It's going to pitch left or right, depending on how slight that thing hit on either edge or points. That's why your question there's, and I know where you're going with it, but in the air, some people have a tendency to pitch in the air. Those are the people who are just starting to learn how to throw dice accurately. But the majority of people, it's going to pitch as soon as they hit, if they're not square to the table.
All right. More questions? You want to get to tricks of the trade or the announcement? We've got a lot of questions here, Ed. We may have to come back after the holidays and pick this back up if
Do the
everybody will
announcement.
come back.
I'm waiting on it too.
It's up to what they want to do.
You want me to start?
We can do a few. We can do a few quicks on the trades.
Or tricks of
Yeah,
the trade, cool.
Do tricks and trade.
Let's see. So I talked about why you should carry pennies before and what you do with them, but let me show you what you should do before you even put the penny down. If you, I'm going to be off camera here because I don't want to mess with the camera, but let's say this is stick right one, and this is where you toss on your craps table. Okay, this is where you practice all the time. Tables in the casino may be a little bit different. They may be slightly longer, slightly shorter, depending on how they do the back and stuff like that. the back wall is not exactly the same length or distance than yours. So what I do when I go to the casino is I find an empty craps table and I go all the way to the back wall. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I go all the way to the back wall, not behind, but where where the diamonds are, and I go heel to toe, all the way to where I know I stood. So on my table, it's 6.5 of my feet. So you go and you do that. And if somebody asks you, hey, what are you doing? Just say, well, I want to see if I'm sober enough to drive, or whatever. But you come in and then you say, okay, this is where I should stand, and that would be the length. And then you put a penny down when you go to the real table because they're all the same. The other thing is where you set your dice. So I'm gonna do them with these big dice because you're not gonna see them over here. So now with these you can see them. So let's say I throw the par shot from here, right? Well, the casino layout is different. The pass line is either here, this way, or that way. What I do is I take my hand from thumb to little finger, and I put it like this on the table. I don't know if you can see me. Like
Yep, we
this on
see
the
it.
table here at home. And I know this is the spot where I can shoot the dice or up higher. And then when you go to the casino, it doesn't matter what the layout is. If you do this, you can put the dice, where you sit. Now, if you're one of those that go, that's not for you, okay? But if you go from the deck, just go like this and measure, and then now your dice will set where you want to throw from.
Great
Just a
trick.
few tricks.
And I'm gonna add one comment real quick, Jeff.
Yep.
If you're gonna go heel to toe, can't be brown water involved.
No, I would say yes. I don't drink, but I don't have a drink if I'm only playing with you, and that's after we get done. All right. John kind of clarified it, and I think maybe we should finish it up here with what he was asking, and then we'll move on to if he has another trick, maybe we'll get to the announcement. But John's got two-part questions there. What he was saying, what he was asking on the physics side of it is that the dice never stay on axis through all points of contact, and then the second part of that is I think it's a brain bender, because we all see all those cattywampus rolls, and I can't, and others can't understand pitching when we see that. It's weird how it works. So I believe we kind of explained that, but I think John wanted to make sure he got his point across to both of you.
Yeah, I mean, we can spend hours. We can spend hours trying to go through the physics on why it does what it does, and I don't agree that dice doesn't stay on axis even sometimes after it hits the back wall. If you hit the back wall flat on the right place in the back on the diamond, it's gonna come back flat. Where it goes random is if you hit it like this. That's why I use this baby right here to tell me where how I'm hitting my dice on the back wall.
Oops, sorry. Put that back up there. I'm sorry, Gargoil. I was programming something.
So the dice hits like this, then that's not right. But if it hits like this, then you're doing good.
So to your point right there, Gargoyle, and maybe this will answer something for John. So think of that same piece of blue right there, starting on the felt where they hit. it's like a crack in the wall, right? If they're not landing flat, that crack in the wall that starts out at, I don't know, a millimeter at the bottom, when it gets to the top, it's usually an inch wide.
Yeah.
The same thing happened to the dice. If they land just a hair off plane, they're going to go off axis. So, John, when you're throwing your dice and you're seeing all your dice go cattywampus, it's probably because your dice, when you throw them, are not hitting flat on the faces on the table surface. That's usually what's happening. That happens on every single type of toss, unless you're throwing a slider.
Which we can't do.
Right.
You can't do.
Right.
You know,
Right.
when I play and I see, and I've got a major flaw in my toss I've had my whole life, or more than one. Okay, I got more than one flaw, but there's one that always lets me know. It's kind of a normal flaw, so it's kind of like playing to your hook or your slice. I've got sets that work as long as it doesn't go too extreme. But when I see both of my dice running left, it's time for me to run because I'm tired. That always happens if I'm tired, and it's an indicator that, okay, this is my last hand. As soon as this hand's over, I'm getting the hell out of here, and I'm going to the bar, and I'm going to bed, or whatever. But you know, and it's usually late at night. I admit it. So, but when both my dice start running left, I know I'm getting lazy, and I'm raising my pinky finger on the toss, and it's making them run it. Or I'm raising my thumb.
The dice are hitting on the right. They're hitting on the right edges and causing them to flip left.
Yep. Yep. And so, and it's caused by fatigue. For me, it's a sign of fatigue on myself. And when I see that happening with both dice, I know immediately I need to just this is it. I'm done. If I don't, I'll lose money every time.
Yeah.
So we all have a trigger. We may not realize our trigger, but we've all got triggers of when it's time to get off with our toss.
It's like playing poker. Everybody's got a tell.
Mm-hmm. That's my tell. You ever see both my dice running left late at night? Quit betting. Turn your bets off.
Mine run all over the place. All right, guys, where do you want to take it now? Still a lot of questions. We're an hour and 40 minutes into the show. Some people were.
Let me say this real quick before we do our announcement.
Hold on, one at a time. What was that?
I'm not scared.
Go ahead, Gargoil.
No, I said I heard a bottle cork pop, so that means that he's getting ready for another one. So it's going to be an
It's on top of my head. It's on top of my head. You know I'm leaning down.
Well, I mean, we have other questions here that I can pop up here
one
while
up.
we're doing this.
Yeah, run them.
We'll do our announcement, and then we'll answer questions until we're
Let's
tired.
do a.
Well,
Yeah,
here, let's go ahead and do this one.
as
So I
long
put
as-
it up there. Where do you guys prefer to shoot from the table? The end of stick, the right or left? This should be a pretty quick question answered.
Anywhere for me.
I prefer stick left one.
Okay. What did you say,
Mine,
Toro?
Either one.
I
As
said
long
anywhere
as
for
one.
me.
So, Toro, it doesn't matter what position you get to throw the dice.
Not really.
Yep. Okay. Well, Ed, I know your answer, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, I prefer stick left one. I practice from about 3 or 4 different spots, though, so that because there's only one on a table, and sometimes you got some don't player down there slinging a stick left one, and you got to find another place. I practice from 2 or 3 different spots. If I'm from stick right one, I'm throwing into the turn. I'm not throwing straight down. Stick left one, I'm throwing straight down. I love the hook. I can get relaxed. I can get stretched out. I got a good view of the table, and I can pick a landing zone real good from down there at the hook. I prefer the hook from straight out, but I will throw from there. I might be crazy, but I ain't scared.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Did I hear you say you want to go to the announcement, or you want to keep going with questions?
I got something I want to say before I do the announcement. Cajun Craps keep saying BWB, BWB, BWB. That stands for Brown
What does
Water
that
Bash, right?
Yes.
Brown Water Bash, Biloxi, Mississippi.
Oh.
We had one last June. We had 28 people show up, I believe it was, plus a few spouses. I'm gonna say probably. Right now, I'm working on I'm going to say probably. It's probably going to be in the summer again, and then. But I'm also working on a Tunica trip, probably before that, and then I'm working on a possible Vegas trip, maybe even on a practice table, or maybe with classes. We'll see.
All right.
As far as I'll go with that right now.
All right. Are we getting to the announcement? We're doing questions.
Let's do the announcement.
All right. Who wants to have the floor first? Gargoyle?
Yeah,
No,
give it Gargoyle.
Okay.
Give it.
That's your.
All right.
I'm a guest.
All right.
All right. So we're going to try to mix it up a little bit.
That's a drum roll.
Yeah, that's it. Fleetwood Mac. Do it. Do it. And do the electronic drums on your chest. Gargoyle and I and Jeff have been talking about trying to do something a little more different on YouTube. And I've kind of done this before in limited fashion. But since so many of the questions tonight were about DI and tossing the dice, etc., one of our plans, if it's well attended and if it's well received, if it's not, then, but we're going to take an individual and we're going to work with him live, probably twice a month, on that person's toss, and see if we can develop improvement in their toss over a course of several shows. That person that we've talked to has got enough cameras, got enough angles and this and that we can try to get enough to try to really be beneficial to that person. We're going to do this live. We hope. Our hope and our intent is to do it live. Be an hour and a half, and that'll be about it. And maybe do it twice a month, I think is the case. But before we start, Gargoyle is going to go into a lot of things that are required of that person and how we're going to work with that person during, say, starting February, March, January, we may not have that person online with us. We may be talking to that person. They may be sitting here, but we're going to be giving them things to do, practice, and work on. And then we're going to set up camera angles and this and that so that we can work with them on their toss. Turn it over to Gargoyle now.
Yeah, and I really had to think long and hard about this, because in order for this to be informative and successful, me personally, I have to go all in. And going all in meaning giving you a glimpse of what a DI's way of life is. And I'm not talking about, going on TikTok and going to those fancy restaurants and getting in a Bentley Rolls Royce. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about all the boring stuff that you have to do to practice, what you have to do at home. We're going to talk about the 4 M's. A DI, a true DI, a real DI, a person that strives for true dice influencing, lives by the 4 M's. That is mindset. Do you know what they are? Ed, I know you and I talked about, but do you know what they are?
Mechanics?
Before I mention them, do you know what they are?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'll go ahead. I would say it's mindset, mindfulness, mechanic, and money management. It's all about what you do before you go to the casino, while you're at the casino, and after you come back from the casino. I'm gonna take you through what I do as a diehard DI. I'm on the phone. So, anyways, it's a glimpse of what we're gonna do and try and help somebody.
I think that's
So
a
the
great
first
idea.
show will be January, I think it's the Tuesday night, the 9th.
The 9th or the 7th, I can't remember what we had.
I can't remember.
set up.
What, not after the national championship game.
Yeah.
Tuesday
Yeah.
night. We're going to try to do this
Well,
on Tuesday nights.
And I will, for the
I
first
hope
3
your
or 4
candidate.
sessions, I'll demonstrate, what I do, how I set the dice, how I throw, and all that stuff. Yes, you will see me throw my shot on my table. Yes, you will see me do the chopper really, really bad because I don't practice it, so it's going to be all over the place. You're going to see me do some of the other shots that I don't practice, that they go all over the place, but because people want to see them. What you won't see, I'm going to steal that one from Ed because Ed wanted to say this so much, but I'm going to steal it. What you won't see is strategies and crapsy. So if you want entertainment, yeah.
Well, as
Yeah,
long
those
as, as long
strategies
as your
don't crap.
candidate,
Yeah, hold on a second. El Toro wants to make a comment. Go ahead, El Toro.
I was saying, I think that's a great idea. I think as long as your candidate is like a actual real person, not some
AI.
YouTube personality, a
Uh-oh.
real Joe, straight off the street, somebody who plays on the weekend and say, hey, you know what? I'm tired of losing money, and it's not a mutual. It's nothing to gain, no benefit. I think that would be fantastic because if I go on there and say, yeah, show me how to do it. Okay, what really are we benefiting? Grab a real, like John Doe. Grab
Well,
one of
the-
your members right here. Grab one
Well,
of the people who are inside this chat, like you do on your little wins. Spin the wheel and say, that's your lucky winner right there. Because I
We-
think if you grab a personality type, the only thing that they're going to be doing is posting that stuff on their channels. They're going to be gaining, and they're doing it for all the wrong
Well,
reasons.
Well, yeah, I
The-
think
we-
I think
Oh,
I think
go
the
ahead,
part we
Jeff.
should talk about, I think we're talking about, is that we have to have somebody, El Toro, that has the equipment. So obviously, it's going to be somebody that most of us probably are familiar with. But he showed an interest in wanting to learn, and I'm not going to say the name unless Ed or Gargoil will do it. He showed an interest with wanting to learn, and he has the ability at his home studio to actually show the angles that I think that Gargoil wants to be able to pick up and show people. Like Ben just said a minute ago, that Swissco 330. This is great. I'll put that back up there. He said this is great. I practice for hours, but probably don't practice correctly. So we're hoping that people at home can pick some things up. But I don't think the idea is to stop with one student. After we perfect this. I should say perfect. That's the wrong word. Wrong word. Take that back. Back up. Take that back. Strike that from the record. After we show progress with this person, I think then we'll bring in another one. If I'm mistaken, wrong, Gargoyle, correct me.
No, that's absolutely true. We picked somebody to be the first one. I don't want to call it guinea pig because I already have a guinea pig that I'm working with. So that person.
Yeah, you do.
I just say
John.
right here, like I randomly call this dude and say, look, get James Newberry right there. Get James Newberry. Put him on there as your guy.
Yeah,
Say,
well,
look,
I mean,
that's your guy right there.
that first person. Well, here's the intent. The intent is to show others what we're going to do, and the person that wants to come after as a volunteer, they need to put in the effort and they need to be sincere that I'm going to do what that person before me did, or else, it's not going to matter how much we try and help. If that person doesn't help themselves, it's not going to work. So we want to show people what effort has to go in it before somebody says yeah, because everybody can says yeah, pick me, but then when they found out what they have to do, the homework that they have to take and do every day, so that they can be better, they may think twice about it. So that's why we wanted somebody that has the cameras and all that stuff, so that the viewers can understand. And then after that, yes, we want other volunteers because we want to work with them. And by the way, I want to make sure we're gonna show basics, and we're gonna show some standard stuff. That doesn't mean that if you have an opportunity to go take a class with somebody that can work with you one on one, don't do that. That all we're doing is working to get somebody better, so that if they want to go take a class with Heavy, for example, they don't have to start from scratch. They can say, here's what I do and here's what I need help, and they can benefit from that class, instead of just saying, okay, well, here's what you need to take home and practice. We're trying to get people in a state where if they go and take a class, then they can benefit from that class a lot more than what they do today.
Right.
I
And I guess
I hope
I'm
I explained that a little bit better.
no, you did. And I'm saying from my position as just a guest, the first time I listened to you was you actually went to go see Heavy because you had lost your ass. And
Hmm.
it takes a genuine individual like you who's willing to put the time behind those dice to not lose his ass again. That's what I'm
Yes,
talking about. Get someone like you who really
yes,
loves the game, has a true
yes,
passion, not a not poking fun at the game, not always trying to contradict things. Someone who really has a passion about playing and really learning for the genuine right reasons. That is your student. That will be
yes,
your to pay it forward what you did. Take someone
yes.
that heavy like you and mentor that person and teach them. I think you're going to have the best results out of that individual. That's just me,
And
Agree.
my
we
2 cents.
we
Hey, that's just
realize
my
we
2 cents.
realize
No spin zone right there, buddy.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
No, no, agree. And the next person after the one that we've already
I got to
done,
be
because
appreciative.
we have to make some
I've got to
preparation.
be appreciative.
Yeah, the next person is going to be someone that is tired of, that wants to get better and tired of losing money. Yes, and it doesn't matter as long as they have one camera that we can work with because it is remote. I will work with that individual, and
I
and
bet you
and
anything, half of these viewers would invest in one or two
Ed and
cameras.
I, we will work with that individual.
Yeah, I think it's an
Yeah,
awesome idea, brother. Honestly, I think
yeah,
it's a fantastic
we're gonna give
idea.
it a shot.
and
We realize there's only so much you can do by video, and I've toyed with it with a couple of guys, well, more than one guy. But I did a live show with Chris Herman, Sideshow Gamble, and I'll go ahead and tell everybody right now, he's the guy we decided on, and he's agreed to do it. Chris just got back from, I worked with him about this time last year, maybe a little earlier, and then he got deployed. And so he just got back. We've talked. He's in. He's got the table. He's got enough cameras for us to put on a good show with examining his toss. And he has agreed with his military mind and his background of being committed to doing the practice that we're going to require of him between shows.
That's
And
fantastic.
we certainly believe he will. We believe he will come through with that at this point.
and the other
Yeah.
thing, and not to mention how we're going to put the show together, it's actually going to be produced with a producer on the back end being able to direct the camera shot based upon what Ed and Gargoyle say they want to see. So somebody's going to be able to switch the screens while they're actually working with him. He won't have to do it. His angles will be there, and that person will have control of his software.
I wonder who that person's going to be.
I have no idea, but he better get paid pretty good.
yeah.
I
And
wonder.
it'll be dual streamed on 2 channels.
Mhm.
Well, that's the announcement. You want to
Awesome.
elaborate it
I think that's
anymore?
awesome, guys.
I think it's a good idea. While I was texting with John earlier in the show, he said, did I miss the announcement yet? I said no, and he actually was making a suggestion of shows to do. And John, you hit the nail right on the head. And I talk to John, quite often, but we didn't discuss that show. But to whoever's idea it was, I don't know whether it was Ed or Gargoyles. I think
It
it
wasn't
was an
mine.
excellent
That's
idea.
too much damn work, but I will do it.
It wasn't
Well,
my idea. I didn't want to be on YouTube to begin with.
No,
somebody
you
had to
didn't
come up with
watch
it. It
it.
wasn't mine.
I
Yeah,
brought Gargoyle in.
this was my ulterior motive from last week. Instead of flying under the radar doing my own thing, I want to get on YouTube and get shit on people. That was my ulterior motive to be here.
Yeah,
Come on
we
now.
all enjoy getting shit on.
Look,
Yeah,
if you have a YouTube
Anyway,
channel,
that's the goal, folks. That'll be coming out. Hopefully, we're gonna get this thing started. I think we picked a date. That for on Tuesday nights. We're starting right after the Tuesday night after the college football championship game. I think that's the ninth.
I think it
Can't
is the
remember
ninth.
now.
Yes, it is.
So anyway, that's where we're going to plan that. Uh, we're Gargoyle and I will do a lot of stuff before we actually bring Chris in to start working with him. But we're going to ask him to watch what we're doing and practice what we show him from there. And then maybe, like the third show, he's going to come in and we're going to start working on his toss. And then we're going to give him practice habits that will help him improve.
yeah. And a lot of the stuff we're gonna do before that is for everyone else to kind of get them get them ready for that. Stuff that I do on a regular basis. Look, guys, you just don't understand. If you've ever been, I don't know how to say this. People that have been addicted before and have gone over an addiction will know what I'm about to say. I have been without my craps table for 3 weeks now. I'm about to go through the walls because I cannot practice tossing the dice. And somebody said, well, just put something in the back and throw. No, no, I have a certain way of doing things when I stand and throw the dice. I haven't been able to practice for 3 weeks now. And a few months before, I had my right arm in a sling, could not throw the dice. I would stand here and do it with my left hand because I can throw it left-handed. The reason why I'm like this tonight and emotional is because I'm like a guy that hasn't gotten his fix in like I don't know how long, and I'm about to blow here. That's how much I mean. It's like going to the gym every day and then all of a sudden you don't go. Your muscles go flabby. I live practicing every day for 2 hours almost, and for 3 weeks I haven't been able to throw dice. This is my life. So this is my way of life. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna show you things you do. How do you get on the table? How do you set up for practice? How do you set the dice? What do you do? All that stuff, because that stuff is gonna go quick when we have somebody on the show throwing. We don't wanna waste time on the show going through all that. That person has already gotten it in an email, or we work with him behind the scenes, and then just practice on the dice throw. So we want to give you all the pre, whatever you want to call it, as a heads up to the actual thing.
Well, I think the other thing we need to say, Gargoyle, is that we're going to have a format. We're going to spend so many minutes talking, so many minutes instructions, so many minutes to give questions and answers from the audience, and then we're going to call it. It's not going to be like this show tonight, 2 hours. We want to structure the show so that like you're watching a regular TV show, it's going to be an hour or 90 minutes or whatever. But we're going to try to keep it short enough so that that one, Chris doesn't get overwhelmed, and two, that people
Yes.
can take it in. But the first couple shows is you discussing everything you said about the 4Ms and then everything from gripping and so forth. Is that correct?
Correct. And people can comment, and we can answer some of the comments, and we may take one or two of the questions, at the beginning of the show, for 5 minutes, answer a question or two, and then go through. So there's always. I appreciate it, guys. I see some of the chats going on. I'm like Jeff, almost like the other night. Now you're doing it to me, getting emotional because of all the thank yous. I'm going to say something that I never thought I'd be saying it in public. I had a gambling addiction when I met Heavy. I had my bank cards all pressed up, my credit cards, because I didn't know how to play. And I was dipping into my savings. Heavy is my hero. People make fun of me when I say Heavy is my hero. Heavy is my hero. He showed me how to play the game straight. And he showed me how to do the things that I'm doing today. And he got me back into the positive, and he showed me how not to be an addict but a smart player. And I want to pay it forward. And it pisses me off when people think that I have an ulterior motive, or they go behind, or they stab me in the back, because I almost was gonna say the heck with it and then get off YouTube, because I've helped people before and I've been stabbed in the back up to recently. But I dipped into savings. I maxed out credit cards because I was trying to recoup losses, because I listened to the wrong people on the internet. And I didn't know I was going to say this. So I'm getting a little bit, I'm shaking a little bit, because I never thought I was going to say this online. But I was trying to play the game the wrong way and listening to people. We didn't have YouTube. We had message boards, and they were saying, "Oh, this will win you every time," and no, it lost me every time. But I didn't know any better until I met Heavy, and he and Dice Coach set me straight. And at first they were like, "No, you need help," and I said, "Well, tell me what to do and I'll do it. I promise." And I made them that promise, and I lived by that promise, and they helped me. And then Howard came in, and he taught me the history and why things are the way they are. And if I can help one person out of everybody that's watching, that's struggling through something, I paid everything that they did forward. Heavy is my hero, and I will put him on a pedestal all day long, because he got me out of the mud. And I can't tell somebody how to get off smoking, because I've never smoked. I can't help somebody with drugs. I never did drugs. I can't help somebody with alcohol, because I never drank. And so I don't know how it feels. I can't help you. But I know what it feels like to have a gambling addiction, and how to lose a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And if somebody needs help, you can contact me offline, or go get help. But I'm doing this to pay it forward, because somebody helped me. And I hope whoever wants to do it with us after this person is serious about it too. I can't believe I just said all that on YouTube.
That's
Wow.
a great
But
statement. That's a great statement. You're that goes to what I was just saying earlier. Just make sure you pay it forward. You've got a lot. We've talked a little bit, you and me, offline, and a lot of different things in common. But what you're doing is going to be done. It's going to be well received. It's the right thing to do.
so I
That's
appreciate
our hope.
all the thank yous online. I thank you. I appreciate it.
Well,
So ultimately, what the goal is people will improve enough so that if they decide they want to go take a class from somebody that's reputable, and there's several out there, then they've got a baseline to go and work with. That's ultimately, I guess, the goal, because that's probably all we can achieve online.
yep. And I'm going to back up to a question that we had that was asked over an hour ago from Juan, was where, oops, I got two of them up there in a second, the other one will drop. Where and when can we take a course and class from Ed and you guys? And I think maybe you'll see what will take place in January and February, and you'll hear names dropped and specifics that you'll know the reputation, instead of going to somebody's YouTube channel that claims to be a super shooter or DI or whatever the other word was we used tonight. And the idea here is, when you take a class, you're paying money. Here, we're going to take somebody, and hopefully you guys, not me, I'm the producer, but hopefully you guys will be able to explain to somebody that may not be, that thinks that the DI is a unicorn. But we'll try to change it. And it's like you said, a Gargoyle. DI isn't the fact that you can pick off any number you want. It's a way of life, and you've said that ever since you've come on my shows. I understand why you mean it. Hopefully, we're going to show it.
Yep.
So I don't know what to
All
follow
right,
that up
so-
with.
You got any more
Sorry,
questions? I think we can
didn't-
let it
I
go
didn't-
from there. I mean, I love Gargoyle. He's a great guy. Heavy was my coach. Everybody knows that. I've coached with helped coach with Heavy on occasions. So, but this is video. We're going to be doing it on. So we are limited in exactly. This is not hands on. This is video on. So we're going to do the best we can do. And I believe that Chris will be able to grasp what we're telling him. He did a good job when I worked with him live that one night before he got deployed. And we're going to go way deeper and more basic in the beginning. We're going to start with the very, very most basics. And we're probably going. He does the par toss, 3-finger grip. So that fits right in our wheelhouse. If it was a 2-finger grip, I can only go so far because the guy down there in the lower left-hand corner, he's the guy that does the 2-finger grip. But there's still certain basics that transpose from one grip to the next, and that's what we're going to try to do.
All right. Well, that was a special announcement.
Awesome.
I appreciate everybody in the chat that has commented positively. There was one sarcastic comment that I didn't display, but that has displayed positively, and to hear it from the likes of El Toro, who the reputation and who still says that he's coming back with some YouTube stuff. I remember you telling me that you moved El Toro, you were going to come back, but your stuff that's still out there, from a decade ago, is just incredible. To hear you are tonight, listening to what Ed and Gargoyle have planned, and you're commending them for that.
100%. So you got to I always look at things like this: is what's their messaging, and is their messaging consistent? That's how I shop for things. That's how I buy items, right? I look at what's their messaging. Are they consistent? I've always been the same way, and when I spoke to Ed, he's been the same way. When I spoke to Gargoyle, the same way, and when I speak to you, the same way. I can tell you that these two gentlemen here, I would tell you it's definitely really a good thing what they're doing. They'll be a nice precursor to any of the reputable schools or academies. More importantly than that, though, I think everyone is going to benefit from seeing how to stop looking at bullshit on the internet and trying it on the tables for real money. And that's what drives me insane. It drives me insane to no extent. Again, small little story. When I was playing, I saw somebody playing some wacky strategy, and lost their ass. If they saw it work on YouTube, it's just a weird.
You can name the strategy.
I ain't gonna name it. I know I could.
Yeah,
If I could
I know
remember
which
it,
one it was.
it's got 5. Hey, it's got 5 different ways of calling it a different name, right?
Yeah,
Because
but it starts with
people
an S.
invented it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
So Jeff,
that's kind of. I
Jeff,
think what you guys are doing is awesome.
thank you, Toro. I really appreciate it. Jeff, when we're out here in public, I mean, we gotta take the good with the bad. And I know that there was a sarcastic comment. I'm just curious to know. I don't know if you can show it without who it did, but if you want to show who it did, I don't care.
Well, I'd have to go back and find it, and there's been so many. I'm scrolling back on both sides, just so you guys know. We're dual streaming Mid-Atlantic Craps and Roll to Win. Currently, I have 40. I had as many as 65 watching. Ed currently has 68 and had as many as 70 watching at one point. 62, many as 70. So we're hovering in that 100 viewership at the moment. And in the chats that are coming in with the thanks there, I don't know if I don't think I want to display it because it's not what was said. It's who said it. But here's what I do want to show there.
Well, hold on,
for Ed,
hold on, Jeff. Hold on, Jeff. I'm going to
yeah.
stop you.
Go
I'm
ahead.
going to stop you right there. If you don't have the balls to say it to my face, don't say it at all. That's my motto, right?
Yep.
I, for one, am a straight shooter. If you're going to put it right there and you're going to be a, what do they call them, keyboard Nazis, put it right there. Put it right
They've-
there. I am
they've
not
removed
afraid
it.
to address that, and neither is anyone else.
They've removed it. I just found it. They've
Yeah, but
removed
no
the
one
comment.
here on this panel, no one on this panel is afraid to address somebody because
Nope.
we're not hateful. We're going to address the concern for what it is.
Yep.
Wow. Yep.
And you know that whole thing about that happened last week, it could have been cleared in one phone call, but that person decided to just go off, and now here we are. You know, friendship's done, and we're not going to do this again. And look, to anybody out there that's watching, and if there's anything that I've said that you have a different opinion, we all have opinions, and if it's factual, I'll do what I did to earlier. I'll point you to the sites where you can gain more information, and if it's opinion, it's okay if we disagree. You know,
Sure.
Ed and I don't agree on everything. You know, he plays the don't. I don't. Wait, he that's not
What?
right. He plays the don't, unlike me, right? But you know, if you just have the balls to have a conversation. You know,
Absolutely.
don't go behind. Don't go
We're all
after the
adults.
show. Don't go after the show on other channels, and you know that's the cowardly way of doing things. You know,
That's
if
right.
it's okay. John and I don't agree. You know, he doesn't believe in a trend. I mean, who fucking doesn't believe in a trend in craps? He doesn't. But he's still my buddy. I still help him. It's okay. We talk all the time. But you know, if we disagree, it's a conversation. It's okay. It's a conversation. And it's okay if we leave the conversation without agreeing with each other. That's how gentlemen people do it. That's how friends do it. That's how community people do it. But if you don't agree with anything that I'm saying or I've said tonight, and go around to other YouTubes and post it in comments and stuff like that, you're just a fucking coward. And you don't deserve to live in the space that I live in, as far as I'm concerned. So
Well, let's wrap up the announcement now that we spent on it. I just want to point out a couple things here that whoever's producing the show, according to some viewers here, think that they should get paid double what I'm getting paid tonight, and pay him double what Jeff's making. There's a couple people that kind of thought they should
Right.
get paid.
So-
I'm just kidding, just kidding, just kidding.
In Jethro terms, alt and alt is alt, right? So
Yes.
alt plus alt is alt. So you get alt.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
yeah, what? So I'm gonna double his salary. So what's 2 times 0? That's what you get.
Oh my gosh, you guys are just great. You want to get back to some questions, or we've done the?
Yeah, let's do a few more.
Come on, man.
If everybody's up
Let's
to it,
go.
I am. I'm in good
I'm up
shape.
for it, buddy. I love it.
I've drank a lot of coffee. I'm good to go all night.
I'm trying to pick out one
I
of
ain't
the
going
one.
that far. I'm drinking bourbon.
Here's one that Ed probably can take. Ed, let me switch this over to you, and then we'll make comments about it because we're talking about YouTube videos. But it's not what you think, Ed. It comes from my channel. I watch a lot of craps videos, but never has anyone ever discussed tax reporting on win losses. Any comments on how to track what needs to be reported? Just curious. I know John does something on his channel, but you're this is kind of like in your forte.
It ain't my forte, buddy.
You know what I mean.
Well, the IRS says you must, as a gambler, report all winnings minus your losses. right?
That's what they say.
And each
Yeah.
casino gives you a win-loss statement.
As long as you could put your name in there.
As long as you give them your card and all that shit, right? So
Uh-huh.
now they pay you in cash.
That's right.
So I ain't going no further.
All right.
That's it. Well said, brother.
Yeah.
Well said. Great question,
I
though.
mean,
Great question.
that's a good question. Now,
Great question.
you know, if you got a wife that likes to play slots, or
Really hot on the slots, though.
whatever it is. Yeah, if your wife plays slots and she loses a lot, then it don't really matter. You just pick you pick the win-loss statements you need to use to cover the win.
Well, let's move on to another question. Unless somebody else has answers about tax stuff, because I certainly am not no expert there.
I don't want to talk about taxes. I hate taxes. I hate the freaking government. I hate taxes.
All right, so we all four of us tonight, along with Heavy from last Tuesday and a couple other YouTubers that I know are going to ask this question or have stated this question. And I think we need to hear it from somebody other than myself who went on a rant a few months ago. Why do you all hate the strategy videos? And do you need a plan on how you want to bet? You do need a plan to how you know how to bet.
Yes.
And the problem that I have with strategy videos is exactly what Heavy said last week. They're too freaking easy to edit to show what you want. You show me a channel that always wins, and I'll show you somebody that loses. And that's all I'm going to say about it. I don't edit any of my videos. That's why everything is done live.
Mm-hmm. Why do we?
I think strategies are
horseshit.
Is that or else I say that because your
I
volume.
said strategies are horseshit. They don't work. Strategies do not work. You have to go with a betting plan. You have to go with a betting plan. Now your plan's got to be, it's got to be nimble. It's got to be fluid. You got to be able to change it as you start, however you're betting and playing. So if you're the kind of guy at the table that likes to bet on everybody because you're afraid you're going to miss a long run, you better be the most flexible of all of them, right? I mean, you have to. But if you go with one strategy and think that one strategy is going to work with every single player around that table, you're going to lose. You're going to lose money.
All right.
I mean, you can play 6, 7, 8 on every player around the table, and you're gonna lose some hands. There ain't no doubt about it. I mean, there's gonna be times when they throw 47 nines and 28 tens, and you're not on it, and never throw a 6 and 8, and then they throw a 7, and you win your don't pass, and you lose the difference. I mean, every strategy will lose. Every strategy will lose. You've got to be able to think on your feet. You've got to know the mathematics behind why you're doing what you're doing. And sometimes you just got to frickin' make a good guess, go with your gut, and see if it works. But, doing these strategy systems and sticking to them hard and fast, you're just not going to win. Not over time. You're not going to do it.
Mm-mm.
All right. Gargoyle? Strategies?
No habla inglés, el estratégica de poo-poo.
Did I hear the word poo-poo?
Oh,
Did I hear poo-poo?
I'm going to say
my whole thing was
my takeaways from him were strategy, poo-poo.
and this is the perfect chat that came in a while ago from James Newberry. I thank the panel for their candor.
That's why we call it the no BS zone, right? Jeff and I started this show on Thursday nights months ago, and we decided it was going to be a no bullshit channel. And so we're either full of bullshit or we got no bullshit. I don't know which it is, but we just tell you what we think. We're not trying to candy coat anything.
I'm still waiting for somebody to tell me which strategy works for whom and what time. Like when you walk up to a table.
Right there. Arnell
and you
says it.
decide to play strategy X. And at what point do you say strategy X sucks? I'm going to play strategy Y. And if it's on every shooter for every role, that takes the whole fun out of it. And you might as well, and you're going to lose all your money. To me as a DI, my strategy is to go in and do my play and leave. And then when I'm with doing what my fun money, like Heavy told me a long time ago, I'll play $12 6 and 8 on anybody. But I mean, is that really a strategy or a plan? I mean, what's the difference between a strategy and a plan? Kind of like the guy just asked, what's the difference between DI and precision shooter? If you don't have a plan, that's part of what we're going to learn in the DI series. If you don't have a plan before you go to the casino, then you're going to die. You're going to go broke.
Guaranteed
Right.
loss.
So
Thank you,
well,
Lord Florida Dice. I appreciate you.
That's
so
Wesley.
I mean,
Toast.
if you plan to play multiple strategies, you don't know. Nobody knows until you get on the table and see what's going on. Nobody knows. Now I'm not putting strategies down. Okay, some people that's all they want to do. They want to figure out a strategy for certain things. But most strategies that I've seen so far is hedging. They want to put $500 on the table to win $5 or lose $5.
I think that's
You know?
I
actually
know you
another
guys
topic.
can't see me. I know y'all can't see me, but I just walked away just like Gargoyle did a minute ago.
So I mean, and strategy works sometimes, but doesn't work all the time. And when it works, it may give you false positive, and then you go all in when it doesn't work and you lose your money. And that's why I said what I said before, on last week, is that there's no such thing as a perfect strategy. But all good strategy go bad at some point.
Well, here's what I like, and Jr. I call him Jr. It's Bones Jones. This is why I don't call them strategies. I actually call them systems, and I like what he says here. The large preponderance of the so-called strategies are more accurately termed systems involving little or no strategy thought. And I guess it's to know when to change the system or when not to play the system versus somebody playing 66 inside and pressing every unit, collecting the next one, pressing the next one, and collecting the next one, and spread out to the 4 and 10 or whatever that may be. I don't like the term strategies. There's 200 channels out there showing you strategies. There's a lot of clickbait out there these days that people telling you, I won big, win big, win big. If you want to watch somebody that really puts a strategy to test, Jeremy's the biggest one. Color Up. You email him or send in your strategy. He picks one and he does it, and he only rolls it out one time. He does edit his videos, but he's rolling it out because he's a producer, and that's what he does for a living. But he'll take a strategy, and you see wins and losses on his channel. There's not very many YouTube channels out there that are showing losses unless they're doing it live, like my good friend John over at ProCrafts, because he and I can throw more frickin' sevens live than anybody can.
Then how come you don't bet the sevens? You throw more sevens. Never mind. I'm just kidding.
I can answer that, Gargoyle, but that's another show.
I'm just kidding.
My opinion on hedging is real simple. On any of the hedge strategies, you think you're hedging not to lose. What you're doing is you're hedging not to win.
That's right. The equal loss is the equal win. The equal win has an equal loss. Your net effect is zero.
You're just hedging. You're hedging not to win. It's like playing black and red on a roulette table. Basically, you're hedging not to win, but all of a sudden here comes that freaking 00 green.
Mm-hmm.
And now the 000. Go
Hey,
ahead,
Jeff,
Gargoyle.
go back to what Mr. Yo11 was saying. The more you know about the game, the better you will play. This is the first thing I said at the beginning of the show. Knowledge of the game is one of the best tools you can take going to the casino. And the more knowledge you know about the game, the history, I don't care if it's craps, poker, roulette, war, slots. There are slots video out there. I don't care. Go out there, learn, gather as much useful knowledge, not junk and misinformation, and it will get you prepared for what you want to do. Yo 11, man, I love you. I couldn't agree with you more.
Well, ready for another question? I want to put up real quick to my good friend Joe Remus here. You probably missed the segment. Gargoyle's already done one, tricks of the trade. You might want to back up a little bit before we started talking about the announcement that we made a little while ago. The show is now into its 2 hours and almost 30 minutes. So here's a question, since you guys were talking about taxes and over on Ed's channel, there's a whole conversation going on between people with taxes and reporting and so forth. But KK here has a very good point. Question: would it be better to play craps in the casino anywhere with or without a player's card? I suppose everybody has their take, but how do you guys feel?
If you're playing for comps and the majority of people lose, players' cards are fine.
Yep.
If you're going to go in and you go and play to win, you don't play with a player's card, because they don't collect any information, nor can they force you legally to give you a license, an ID, or anything else when you win. The easiest way to do that is you bleed it in at the cashiers. So example, what do I mean by that? You're at the craps table, you have you go on some kind of run, you pick up 5, 6, 7, 8 grand in profits. Go to the cashier's window, cash in about $1 grand. No worries. Go into the other window across the way, go cash another $1 grand. 2 hours later, go crash another $1 grand. It's easy. There's ways around it. I, for one, don't play with the player's card at all. I don't care about comps. That's not my thing.
How often do you get asked at the table, sir, do you have a card? I mean, is it every time?
Every time I buy in. Every time you buy in. I mean, when you throw $5 grand on the table, they're going to ask you, do you have a card, sir? They want to know. No, I don't. Do you want one? No. How about an ID? Nope. That's it. I mean, you're done.
Well, here's a good point
Play.
before I ask somebody else about the comps. C. Rickerson says in Oklahoma, where they have the ante, so you have to ante in Oklahoma without a player's card. Wow. I thought
Yes,
all
you do.
Oklahoma's. I thought in all Oklahoma you had to ante either, regardless whether you have one or not. Is that true?
With or without.
How about that?
Yeah, whether you have a player's card or not, you're going to play an ante. It's $1.
Isn't that
By the way,
stupid?
it's only $1.
All right.
My cheap
Well,
ass don't want to pay him $1.
so
I'll be honest. I'm about as freaking cheap as anybody can be. I don't want to pay him a damn dollar. They already got a chance. They already got the house edge. Why do I want to pay my fucking dollar?
Well, Ed, I know you and I play with cards, and for those of you that don't know, the brand that I play is I do like the comps that I get. I mean, I haven't paid for a room or a meal, a room tax or anything in 2 years, but that's my choice. Ed, when I came down there to Biloxi, you introduced me to your host. I'm getting all kinds of offers now, and I only played twice in Biloxi, and they're offering me the same suite you got, and I thought that was pretty sweet that I get your suite. But I'm kidding about the suite, but
But
I
it's
guess.
you.
Yeah, well, but I guess it's right. If we brought a host on, if we brought a casino host on, they would probably tell us to use the card. So, but I think you take a look at the scale player of El Toro and Gargoil and probably others. Gargoil, do you play with a card?
No, I always
Yes.
play with a card. Yeah, that's just what I do. But
Not me.
So
I play.
I play when I want to be rated. If I don't want to be rated,
You know
then I
how-
don't show my cards. But
You know how
I
I
do
get-
play with the card because my wife plays the slots, and we get a lot of comps from that.
That's right. That's how we get around it. So how we get comped rooms and meals and everything else is actually on my wife. She plays
Yep.
slots. So she has a
Exactly.
card. I do not.
Well, where I play, they let the wife use my card. So they print me 2 cards and give it to the wife, and she goes and plays slots, and I use it to buy in at the table. And so, you end up with a craps or table games win loss, and you end up with a slots win loss. I can tell you right now, the slots win loss is not a pretty thing. Unless you get a W, unless you hit a jackpot, and then you got to go digging into all your others where your wife lost a bunch of money so that you can offset it at the end of the year.
Yeah, we've never won a big progressive or a jackpot like that ever.
No,
My wife's not
that's
gonna
a,
work.
My wife did not win a freaking thing for 2 years, and then she had a $9,000 jackpot about 2 months ago.
Oh,
Thank God. I tell my wife every time. If anybody out there listening that's got a wife that plays slots, tell them this. Make sure they understand it. If you get if you get a hand pay of $1,200, no big deal. If you get a hand pay of $2,000 or more, go ahead and tell them to take federal taxes out of it. Because why? The worst thing you can do is leave a casino broke and have a W-2G in your hand. That sucks.
Well,
So
let's
get
put this
them to withhold the taxes.
Let's put this comment
My
up here
opinion.
because this may become a trend. Red Eye says where I play, they scan your driver's license before you can walk in the door. There's a casino downtown on Fremont Street that you can't get in the door without showing ID.
Well, that's a circuit.
that's
That's
fine.
a circuit. You just got to show it to that damn deputy before you walk in. Make sure you're right age, right?
Yeah, I don't
I
think
know.
they're scanning you for play.
The scanning, I don't know
If
anything
you're telling
about that. I've never seen it. They can kiss my ass. I'll go somewhere else.
That's what,
Yeah,
they're trying to-
JR just
They're
said.
just trying to see if there's something on you or something like that.
Here's a question for El Toro. Do you chart the table?
Don't even know what that means.
Can somebody
You write
explain
down the
that?
numbers.
Yeah.
No,
Right
no,
now.
no. Heck no.
Yeah.
No, I don't play. I usually don't play on most people. Not to the levels I play. No. I'm not going to play. I'm not going to chart a guy to see whether or not I'm going to lay $1,000 on him. Mm-mm.
All right.
I see
back
people
up.
on tables. I see people on tables everywhere else with papers and pen. I'm not sure what they're doing because that's just
You know,
That's just
I
basically
don't see it
record
that much
keeping.
anymore. That
That's-
used to be a
that's
big
keeping
thing.
records of what someone did in the past.
Yeah.
What they did in the past doesn't say what they're going to do in the future. Here's what I mean by that. So Gargoil and I will be playing on a table. Gargoil throws 4 times, 7's out. Does that mean that he's just a 4-time shooter? That's it, based on what I just wrote on the people, and then I'm not going to bet him on the next run. And the next run he hits them all and throws for 45 minutes. What good is charting that table?
I can answer. I can answer what good it is. You want me to answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's to prove to John that that trends happen.
Stop that.
God,
Stop picking on
the
him.
trend thing again. Oh shit! I walked away again.
Stop picking on it. John's a good friend of mine. Yeah, we could agree to disagree. Somebody put that up here.
We love to pick on John, though, because he can handle it.
I'm gonna make a T-shirt. Somebody says that there's somebody here that can make T-shirts. I want a T-shirt that says "A trend is my friend."
That
Trend
can
is
be
the
done.
past.
Yeah.
You know what you
Yeah.
should do is get $5 bill to do that, and then give him a cut, because $5 bill can use the money.
Yep, you're right.
I don't
about
mean that in a bad way, but it's true.
Let's switch gears here for a second. Gargoyle had a couple questions about your the stuff behind you. David, that's Gypsy, asked the question: are those actual old casino dice behind you? And if so, which ones are the oldest?
Ooh, which ones are the oldest? Oh man, I don't know. I got some Taj Mahal in there recently.
I said that would be
Wow.
that'd be old. Taj Mahal would be
That would
really
be-
old.
That would be the oldest. I will tell you what, I will look, because I want to make sure I always give the right answers. I will look and I'll put it in the comments. So just check the comments on the video. The Taj Mahal may be the oldest. I have some Aladdin. That's that's not an easy question to answer.
Well, well, why don't you get the answer and do what you said? Because here's another one for you. How do you get yourself in the position to acquire all those cool layouts with great stories behind them?
Oh, I don't
He
know.
sucks
I'm just
up to
looking
the
at
damn
it,
ball.
Hey, I thought you were going to say you know a guy.
I know, guy. Um, One of the things that people normally do not know is that nobody ever got hurt at the casino for asking for stuff, whether it's comped room, comped food, dice, unless they want, they're asking for cocaine or drugs or something like that, then you're gonna get hurt. But I usually I befriend dealers, I befriend pit bosses, I befriend people at the casino because of the way I play and I respect them. And I play early in the mornings, and they're usually the usual suspects, and they know me by my first name, which at one time got me in trouble with my wife. Um, I and so by doing that, I get to ask, and the worst thing they can say is no. But you'll be surprised how many times, and the more I got, the more I was able to kind of show them that I collect. And I think I purchased, out of all my collection, I purchased three. The rest of
Wow.
them I was able to obtain from individuals, and none of them. Only one that I purchased was fake, and I learned my lesson, and now I know what to check on everything else. But basically from befriending and from being respectful to people, people like you, and they want to do stuff for you. Um, I've exchanged, like I've had. So what you don't see on top is my chips, and I have another one over there full of casino chips. I've actually had doubles from what from I forgot which casino I was in. I was talking to the pit boss, and he's like, "Oh, you have one of these chips, man? I collect chips, and I'll give you one of whatever you want if you give me one." And we traded chips because I had an extra one. Um, I think I had like the old Bills $1 chips. I had an extra one, and I gave it to him, and he gave me an old Sahara chip. That's how. And I love layouts. And I mean, when people tell me that they're like the guy that said the Bellagio, they cut the layouts. It's like, I'm still waiting for Ed's layout. He hasn't sent it to me, and he's like, "What do you have you on it for?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about it. That's my deal." I was in his old layout. I just have a passion for them. Blackjack layouts and stuff like that.
There it is, right there, Gargoyle. It's that right there. That's
Put it
it.
in a
That's
box
my old
and ship it
layout.
to me. I'll pay you the shipping fees. Put it in a box and ship it to me. Um, if I could have a house that I could just put all the layouts like and look at them all the time, I would love to do that.
He
Gotta get
wants
one of those
he
big
wants he
carpet
wants
holders.
an original roll to win layout. That's what he wants.
Yes, yes,
That's worth $1
yes,
million from that.
yes, I do.
All right, let's move on to
Gargoyle, you
another
should
question.
go get those rug holders,
Yes.
the rug hangers. Go get those rug hangers. That way you can hang
I,
all
I
your
get
you
my
can hang
ceilings
all
aren't
your
high enough.
layouts.
My ceilings aren't high enough, and my wife won't let me take anything upstairs, so they have to stay in the man cave.
Ah,
All right.
What else you got, Jeff?
Well, I had another question just come in for Mel. We'll probably have to do a show on this. I'm gonna put it up here for you, Mel. Maybe we'll come back and do a show on his collections. Ed did a very good portion during his Tales from the Table. with talking about collectibles. But we'll come back and do that, Mel. But yes, I've spent some time with Gargoil, and he does have some decent stories from days back then and today. So let's go on to the next question. And I think we've covered this, but it comes from your channel, Ed, an hour ago, and I want to make sure I get this in there for sharpshooters. How long did it take you guys to become a DI shooter? And how long did it take before you were confident in your toss? So I don't think we're sitting here saying that we're DIs, but I want to talk about the confidence in your toss. How long did it take you to feel confident, if you are at this point?
Years.
Yep.
It took years.
It took a
Exactly how
long
many? I
time.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know exactly how many years, but it took years, for sure.
All right. Ed, you said the same thing?
It took a long time. I probably, like 99% of the people, became confident before I was actually capable in any fashion. But yeah, I mean, I've been practicing it for many years. I'm confident in it now. I've been confident in it for a good while, but I was probably confident way too soon, just like most people. A lot of people
What I always
have.
say,
Go
the
ahead.
confidence, your confidence outran your bankroll.
Yeah, if you it will happen. It will happen to every freaking person out there. They'll get on a freaking hot streak and they'll think that they can't be beat, and then all of a sudden, in 3 months, they're broke.
Hmm.
Every
And I
single
include myself. I include myself in that, because you get on such a hot streak, you just think you can't lose, and if you do lose, you think, "Wow, I just get that back right now," and it don't happen. And all of a sudden, dude, you've lost everything that you had ready to go, and that's in essence, that's part of the reason we're doing that series.
All
So
right. Gargoyle, you had a comment?
Hmm.
Now, I was gonna say, years, but as far as confidence, like to go and do what I'm doing these days, um, if I can't take what I'm doing at my practice table and convert it into actual casino play, then I won't go play at the casino. So, meaning that if I can't beat my table 9 times out of 10, 4 or 5 rolls before the seven, I won't go and play my play in the casino. But I need to make sure that I can do it 9 times out of 10 on my table.
Okay.
So that's the confidence level. If I don't, I know I can do it. But if for some strange, but if I can't repeatedly do it, like every day, come in and practice and do it every day, then I won't approach a casino.
All right, I'm going to make a last call for any questions that somebody may have. If I missed your question, I apologize. It may have got covered it on a different topic as we were talking about it today. But I'm going to go back to an hour ago. A question from Dice Emotion. Don't know that we're going to be able to help them too much, but how do you play a casino with a $10 minimum on a $500 max bet? I know probably the three of you very seldom play at casinos that have 500 max bet. My backyard has a 300 or 500 max bet. Cruise ships typically have a max bet like that. So any suggestions?
So that's easy. If you push the max bet, then do a put bet.
What happens if they don't allow the put bet? Because my casino does not.
Then you should not
Your
love me.
your casino, so your casino doesn't allow you to do a place in the put.
The one in the closest to me will not allow a put bet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why?
Actually, when I asked, they didn't know.
It's a
The
contract.
box man did, but the dealers didn't have any idea.
I don't know
what
why
it
they
was.
wouldn't. I think they'd love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's a contract bet. It stays until it
You're putting
resolves
down,
itself.
yeah, you're putting down a $500. You're putting down a $500 contract right on there, with no ability to take it off the table. I don't know why a casino would not allow you to do that.
Yeah.
Well,
But I can remember a story from Heavy, uh, and I can't remember if it was on a cruise or whether it was on a land-based casino. But the box man looked at Heavy and said, "You got all the money on that fucking 10 you're going to get." I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened, right? But
Yeah.
um, my thought process was totally different than Gargoyles. I was like, okay, I'm gonna play it as a $15 table. There's a table down in Biloxi. They got Jeff, you and I played it. Was it $300 max bet?
300 at Treasure Island.
Treasure
Yeah.
Island.
So I pressed up to two. I pressed up to 250, and I just stopped. I didn't want to take them to max because I was kind of happy. Let's just collect $500 a hit. I was pretty good on that on the 4 and 10. I think it was a 4 I had at 250. I just left it there and kept collecting. But I start out at $10 table. I'm not going to play it as a $10 table. You always have the option to regress down to that. But when I'm shooting, I'm going to play it as at least a $15 table, if not a $25.
There is another
this-
solution for you, Jeff.
What's that?
So if your casino, if Atlantic City says you can't do place puts, then what you do is you make sure that you go there with a buddy, friend of yours, and you have them standing either on the other side of the table, and whatever you tell them is max it out. Now you got two people betting at max bet on the table
Yeah. And
or
and I
next
know
to you.
we're-
I don't care where they are.
and
Big
we
Buddy
had a
Mike
que-
and I do that all the time.
Well, we had a question earlier about team play, and I don't think that's team play because that's something else. But that idea that you just said, I know two people that actually do that, but not from a standpoint of trying to max the bet out. But they're
We
they-
do it.
one-
We do it to team play as well. We do it to team play or max bet, whichever one it is. But typically, we end up just team playing. Is all we're doing. It's fun. It's fun to do because I don't drink. I'm an alcoholic. My buddy Mike drinks enough for both of us.
That's team drinking right there.
That's right. That's team drinking. He does the team
That's
drinking.
I'll drink
like
to that.
headline.
Can I drink to
That's
that?
like headline. Yeah.
You can drink to that.
Wow. Well, I mean, the whole idea, and we've had discussion of puts bet on Craps Chat over on CGTV, and I know that John's done a series of them on his daytime show, and we've talked about a put bet here probably a month or so ago, and then of course Heavy got into them pretty heavy last Tuesday night on Ed's Christmas Crapsmas show. But it's interesting because I have a small casino, so I understand the max bets. The casino that Ed and I played at, I understand the max bets for that purpose. But it's like somebody said earlier, and it was on Ed's channel. And Gargoyle said it. The more you know about the game, the better off you are. And I think that does bode well.
You're gonna run into those weird situations where you're maxed out for whatever the casino rules are. And if you don't like the casino rules, go play somewhere else. Or go to the max bet. Hell, if max bet's 500 on a 4 and 10, and I've already pressed the 500, how am I going to complain every time I roll a 4 and 10 for getting $1,000? That's the way I look at it. I mean,
Yeah. You
I
got to be happy with what
don't
you got.
start
Right?
out.
You
I
can
don't
always,
start out that high. So,
Hey, here's
I
the-
can get to $1,000 or $500 pretty freaking quick on a 4 and 10.
Here's a good
5 and 9. I can do the same in Mississippi. I can get there real quick. So, what am I going to complain about? I mean, every time it's like an ATM at that point.
Mhm.
Throw the dice, collect, a ton of money.
Yeah, here's a good point by Ted Barry. He says he had a $15 put bet with 800 in odds in Kansas City with 120 in dealer bets. So it was a rush, and I'm sure it probably was, especially when it hit.
The big thing is that a lot of dealers don't even know what the freaking put bet is.
That's what I said
They're
earlier.
so new. They're broke
Yeah.
in. They don't even know.
Because not very many players know about it and they don't play it.
That's right.
I mean,
Let me
I can remember a time when I was in Cromwell, and I was on crazy ass roll. I mean, it was freaking long. This was right after COVID, and there were some guys. They started out with come bets and max odds, and they were eventually smart enough. I'm going to put that in quotes on my head. They were smart enough to go to put bets instead of come bets. But I was pressing, collect, half press, all that stuff that I do. And at the end of the time, when we colored up, I had more money than they had because they did not put their bets up high enough. Right? They were some kind of, I don't know, they were poker players or something. So, they weren't really craps players. They knew enough of the old-fashioned basics to get into the game, but they quickly changed from come bets to put bets, but they still did not win as much as I was winning on my place bets because I kept pressing up because you can go on up to $10,000.
All right. I briefly displayed this question. I think it'll take just a couple seconds to answer it. Mr. Yo11 wants to know that he saw a picture at the Borgata that the craps table said that was the longest roll, 4 hours and 18 minutes. Do you know the year that happened? I don't know. Probably one of you do. Somebody in the audience probably does. But they do publicize that. And although Heavy last Tuesday night talked about a roll that was longer than that, but that is a documented roll that they went back to security cameras and actually timed it to be that, and I think it was an old lady rolling random, if I'm not mistaken. Does anybody know the year? If you do, put it in the chat.
Remember.
But that is a
I
roll.
don't remember. I do not remember. Not. I mean, I know there's a story of. It's kind of what put Heavy on the map, I guess, because it was his very first class in Tunica, Mississippi. And everybody in the world had advised him against it. And there was this guy who came in with a big ass bankroll, and he took $300 and something thousand off the table there at Hollywood and Tunica. And he was. How do you do that? Well, you do $500 come bets and max odds, and it didn't take long for him to win that damn money. He caught the hand. He caught a big ass hand, and took $300 something thousand off the table. And a friend of mine sent me some pictures from Las Vegas during the F1 race. And during that F1 race, everybody's out watching the race, and the table minimum was dropped down to $15. And when everybody colored up, they had double stacks of fives, and they had no 500s, they had no 100s, and they had very few 1,000, no thousands, and almost no $5,000 chips. Some big whale had gone in there and bet really big during that race and caught a hand and colored up, and he sent me a picture, $250,000 during the race. What a damn deal, right? That is. But
I don't have that
those
picture on my
don't
computer.
come along very often. You got to have a bankroll to do that shit. You can't do that with a $2,000 bankroll.
Well, we got the answer right there. Anthony answered it. Actually knew the person and knew the name of the person. And 150 or 154 rolls. One said 153, though. I have set 154 before the 7 total 4 hours and 8
The shame of that roll is there wasn't nobody on there and you had to bet.
Probably.
Yeah.
I've read the story. There wasn't anybody who made any real serious money off of that lady's hand.
Yep. How many times do we see that, though?
No, you
How
say
many
it
times
all
do
the
you see it?
time.
Yep, all the time.
Well,
I say it all the time.
let me put it this way.
I'm guilty of it.
Let me put it this way. The day I roll 154 for 4 hours, you won't hear of that. Because you won't hear of me. I'll be gone.
Yeah, I'll be gone. I'll be bye-bye. There'll be no more YouTube Ed.
Ed, but I look for that picture you were talking about that you sent me with the $250,000 cash up. It's not on the computer. It's got to be on my phone, and I don't have time to bring it
I mean, it's pretty freaking cool when you see a block of $100 bills and you see them banded together in $50,000 increments, and you start figuring that out, and you start counting, and there's $250,000 and $100 bills standing there in this big old block, and the guy's reaching for it and pulling it in. I don't know why he didn't take a check. I took a freaking check. Ain't no way I'm gonna walk out of there with $250,000.
You're
No,
right about that.
no. When I hit it big at the Bellagio, I took cash. I wanted to see the stack. It was like 55, 60 something thousand. You know, with the ATS and everything else. I wanted to see the stack.
Well, I'd want to see it, but then I'd say, okay, give me a check.
No, I took the cash to the bank.
Mm.
And in Vegas, they don't ask you what is it for. You know, they know you won big. So I just took it straight to the
Yeah.
bank. Actually,
That's why I have a bank account that opens that's in Vegas and in Birmingham,
Wow.
so that I don't have to that I can go deposit cash to.
Very good
And
point.
that's something everybody should do if they're thinking about long travels. They should have a bankroll account that's probably in a bank that's local and at the same area. It's going to be a national bank, of course, but you might want to think about that, having a big bank that's local where you're playing and is local where you may be going. That's something to consider.
All right.
Yep.
Here's a question, probably going to be the last one because we're just pushing up on the 3-hour mark. Would you guys agree that tables run hot, choppy, and cold at times?
Yes, I would. That's my opinion.
All right.
Where's El Toro?
Yeah, I was going to say, any follow-up? Maybe he had to walk away from the computer a little while.
No, I'm here. I'm here. No, I don't know. I don't think it's hot, choppy, cold. I think it's more the shooter, not the tables. But I don't know. It's hard to say on that one. I don't really believe too much in that.
Well, there are a couple questions I didn't get to, guys. I think that 3 hours is a long show. I know that we've held 100 concurrent viewers on both channels together. I think the draw today, Ed, was just not you. It certainly isn't me. I'm just a producer. But with Gargoil and El Toro, it's been a great night. I know you said you were going to stay till the end, El Toro. It might be 6 in the morning before we finish if we keep going. But I don't think any of us want
I went to bed, buddy. I went to bed this morning at 5:30.
Oh my
I'm
goodness!
just now
Well, you
waking
said
up.
you played last night.
I'm just yeah.
No
I'm just
damn
now
wonder
waking
my
up.
phone was ringing in the middle of the night.
I had to get my
my
mind
gosh.
off I had to get my mind off of personal stuff.
All right. Well, let's recap real quick. We had some really good stories, some really good questions. We had a trick of the trade from Gargoyle. We had the special announcement of what we're going to be doing with a dice instruction, a series of shows that'll start in January. I believe the 9th, you're correct, Ed, that it's going to be the 9th of January. First couple shows will be instructional. The shows will be limited to 60 to 90 minutes, and then we're going to bring in Chris from Sideshow Gamble, who has agreed to be our first trial person. And we'll see where it goes from there. Show's been great. If I hate to say we got to wrap it up, but you guys, what more would you like to talk about?
I want to thank everybody that watches our shows, Jeff, on both channels. We've got a lot of crossover viewers, and we appreciate all of them. You and I have had a good time for the last many months of this year doing this show on Thursday nights, and we're coming upon a season that's important to many people. It's important to me, and it's important to others. And it's a time of being blessed. It's a time of telling those people that you know that are still with you that you love them. And I love all our viewers. I appreciate each and every one that watches and takes, people just now tonight took 3 hours out of their life to watch what we had to say about a freaking craps game. and I appreciate that, and I love them for that, and I have nothing but good hope and good blessing. Hope nothing but good blessings for them. It's a season for me which brings light into the life of the world. It's a season for me which brings hope and peace, and we need more peace in this world and peace and goodwill
Amen.
towards men. I said that last week, or I said that some other time recently. Um, you know, that's what it's all about, Charlie Brown.
That's right,
Mhm.
Linus.
Well
um,
said.
yeah,
Well
well
said.
said. Well, I was going to go to you next, El Toro, and we'll wrap it up with Gargoyle.
Yeah.
Any final
Well,
words?
yeah. I mean, I know I haven't had I know I haven't posted a video in a couple of years. Just I do want to thank all the viewers. I see a lot of names on here that I recognize from my channel. Yeah. Guys, it's just because I haven't been posting doesn't mean I'm gone and out of the system. And even one guy asked me if I was broke. That's not the case. It does take a lot. It does take a big commitment for everyone who has a channel to really post good quality content, well thought out stuff. Um, but like what Ed was saying, we thank you guys because you've put together a 3 hour commitment of your own time to actually be here and learn something. It's flattering, to be honest with you, that you guys find us interesting enough to listen to for 3 hours. Uh, that's really it. We
Canine,
thank
thank you.
thank you, Jeff. Thanks, Ed, and thank you, Gargoyle, for your friendship and allowing me to come on and be on the show with you.
All right.
Thank you,
I'm gonna.
Birdman. I appreciate your super chat very much. I really
That would
do.
be
Thank you. God bless you.
that would be Richie. His first name's Richie, so he's a good guy. He's a nice guy. Let's go to Gargoyle and
And I always say, I wish everyone long hands and hard ways. Right? I mean, that's just what else can you ask for?
there
Next
was a
year,
question. Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, there was a question about hardways, but keep going.
Well, I mean, I've always said that. That's kind of been one of my little taglines I've used with people over the years. I wish you long hands and hard ways. Not everybody best the hard ways, but when you see those things coming, you need to jump on them. Start small if you need to, but um, that's a good payout when they hit. You've seen me do it, Jeff.
I have seen you do it. I have seen you, and I was crazy and waited to get on a nickel when yours was at a quarter.
I started at a quarter.
Yeah, yeah, but you went up to a black, and you already got paid a couple times on a quarter. And I don't typically play the hard ways. That's just me. It's my choice. But
Yeah, but I told
I
you they
said,
were
damn.
coming. I told you they were
No, you
coming.
did. You hit the back-to-back hard tens, and you had 100 on it. I don't want to say any more. So, good times. Let's just repeat them again at the next Brown Water Bash.
Let's do it. Let's do it, Jeff. Let's do it at the next Brown Water Bash.
You heard it here, folks. First, there you go. Gargoyle. What say you as we wrap up the show tonight?
Well, I've only been here for a short period, and I just want to say thank you for the community to allow me to come out here, express myself, and you know, just be me. And I don't know everybody. I'm still learning who's who, but regardless of whether we agree or disagree, I love and respect every single one of you. And thank you for allowing me to come out here and hopefully, you know, I'm not just one some other guy talking about craps. Hopefully, you're getting you're getting something out of what me personally I'm saying, but all of us, El Toro, Ed, and others, to help you with your game. Because at the end of the day, that's really what we want to do. We want to entertain, we want to have fun and laugh, but we also want to help everyone. So and everybody have a I don't know if we're going to see each other before the end of the year or not, but if not, enjoy the holidays and enjoy family. Family is very, very important. They could be here one day, next day they could be gone. So enjoy time with each other.
All right. Well, thank you.
Amen to that.
Yep, amen to that. That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm gonna wrap it up here by saying that I have had one heck of a time tonight. A good time moderating this. Thought last week with Tuesday was a good show. My Craps Chat shows that I try to work with even more people than what we have on now. One's coming up Sunday night, I believe. I'm almost 99% sure that it will be Sunday night over on CGTV. But to sit here and moderate a show with the experience that the three of you have is incredible. El Toro, I appreciate the times that you've reached out to me. It meant a lot, especially because I respect you so much. I haven't even met you in person. I don't even know what you look like now outside of your logo. But maybe one day we'll meet. But I appreciate it, Gargoil. We've quickly become friends. I share your passion for you tonight, Gargoyle, and this goes to everybody that's out there. For you to share with us tonight, which I think was spontaneous. I don't think you had any idea that you were going to share your troubles that you had, and the credit that you gave to somebody. My respect level for you increased that much more, because if you can't admit that you have a problem, there's no way to fix the problem. And fortunately, in your case, you got good direction to fix the problem, and you realized what you were doing, and now you're good at what you're doing. But as with any addiction, if you can't recognize it, you need to fix it. This time of the year, we see so many people that are suffering not only from addiction, but from what's going on in the world, from what's going on locally. We see the homelessness. We see, even our backyards in our small communities, like where I live in a small area in Maryland. What we did tonight, I think, and what we're going to plan to do is we're paying it forward, and we're reaching out to people so that they get the proper education, the proper knowledge of the game. And it's like they said earlier, the more you know, the better you are. But I think the shows like this, I'm just honored to be a part of it and to be in the presence of you guys. And I wanted to say that to each one of you, and to all my craps friends from around the world. In case I don't see you on Christmas, I'll have a couple more live shows to go. Hopefully Craps Chat before Christmas. And I just hope everybody has the happiest of holidays, regardless of what you celebrate. You have the happiest holidays, and I am going to say Merry Christmas. So God bless to you all, and to both of you, Ed, to the people that reached out with the super chats tonight. That does touch our hearts. Gargoyle was here the other night on my show the other night when I took. I'm in the middle of rolling dice, and the amount of super chats that came in, because I'm going to give it right back. I don't keep my money comes in my channel. I don't keep. I'm going to give it right back. But to have that support, it's just incredible, and it's heartwarming. And to hear Ed tell his story, and Gargoyle, you tell your story, and then tonight we heard some things about El Toro, especially he doesn't want his wife to watch this show. Little candor there. But we thank you all for everything. So I'm going to put a couple more chats up here that came in since I started talking. And I think that's going to be a wrap. January 9th for the dice instruction course, the show, whatever I'm trying to say there. I'm kind of at a loss for words.
Just call it a show.
Yep, just
we're going to do the best we can. I believe, and I want to thank Birdman over there. I see a $25 super chat on my side. I appreciate the gift. I really do. We're trying to help people without BS, without the BS. I mean, right? That's kind of the mantra of this show. And so not only, I hope, Jeff, next year will we be doing our crap shows where we're doing the instruction, but I hope occasionally we're going to find time to break in and do this type of show continuing on, because it's been well received, and paying it forward is important. We're all getting older. I'm probably the oldest in the bunch. I know I am. And, you gotta teach people that taught you, because people taught you, you need to teach other people. And there's a lot of people out there that need good, solid information. You don't have to take our advice. You don't have to take my advice, Gargoyles or El Toros. You know, you're free to do whatever you want to do. But we're just going to shoot straight. We're going to tell you what we think, and you can take it or leave it.
Yep. Well, I don't know if I can top that one.
And as long as you do it respectfully, we'll all be fine.
And we should all we all should be able to agree to disagree and not hold grudges and not go on the rants that I am guilty of doing and have tried to make amends. And I think Gargoyle said it would have taken just to pick the phone up. And
very few people have gone on more rants than I have.
Well, you see that. You saw what Bud just put there. He loves a good rant. He likes the no filter, the no bull beep show.
Bud is also my favorite bootlegger, so I can't diss him on that.
All right, guys, we're going to call it there. We'll be back on the
Thank
show,
you.
Ed. I can guarantee you that. El Toro, thank you for coming on. Gargoyle, I will be in touch with you.
Thank you, El Toro, for joining us
between
tonight.
now and then.
Of course.
Come see us Sunday night, Craps Chat, CGTV YouTube channel, and 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. And hopefully you guys, if you're welcome to come, and we'll talk craps again, and we can see you then. I'm going to go ahead and call the show, and we'll see you on the next one, January 9th. We may be out, you and I, Ed, we may get a show in between before the 9th here. We may. Everybody have a good night. God bless,
talk about
as always.
it. I'd love to. I got nothing else to do.
All right. Damn, that logo looks good. Peace.
Yes, it does. That El Toro logo does look good. All right, guys. Till next time, be safe and play smart.